Ordain, if you keep trying to fucking curse me with PC crash, I'm gonna throw you out a goddamn window. Come on, big man. Come on. Welcome in, guys. How is your crimbim? Did everybody have a happy crisis? Oh god, Ordain is screaming again? No, Ordain doesn't stop screaming. Ordain does not stop screaming. But welcome in, guys. How was your week? It's been 4 days? 4 days? Question mark? 4 days? I'm pretty sure. Very spicy water? What do you mean very spicy water? Did you drink whiskey? Been there, done that. Oh my god, but always have a crisis. But was it a happy crisis? Did you have a good time? Did you stay out of trouble? Did you burn anything down? Also, I gotta sneeze. Hold on, I think I'm allergic to y'all. Oh my goodness, whiskey, rum, other stuff. Oh my god, that's what I got family members for Crimbus. I got one bourbon and I got one scotch. Expensive scotch and expensive bourbon. I have even more Pokemon cards. Pokemon cards. If you have the digital codes, Ordain, grubby hands, I'd like to have them. I played the digital Pokemon game on occasion. I like having extra codes. Oh my goodness. To fire? No fire? Is that supposed to be no fire? I wake up, I go downstairs, there's 3 people offering drinks. What else am I to do? Oops, the daisies. Oh my. What else could I possibly have done? I wonder indeed. Oh my god, though, guys. Sonic X Shadow Generations on Xbone. I always forget the Xbox One is referred to as the Xbone. That's kind of goofy. I think that's goofy. Okay. No, I threw them away because I can't use them. Sorry. No, Ordain! How could you do this to me? How could you? Ordain! Well, now you know in the future. I would like those keys if you don't want them. I would very much like those keys. Listen, I will never complain about having Pokemon keys thrown in my DMs. I will find a use for them. Even if all of the recent sets don't really have any of my favorite Pokemon in them, which is actually technically Galvantula's in there, and I do have a Galvantula deck. I'm also doing editing for my Duke Nukem Forever vid, so I've used you as background noise. Hell yeah, Hyper. Hails yeah. Throw keys and ringleader. Yeah. I'm about to just get nailed with like a whole bunch of like house keys or some shit. Aren't I? Oh my goodness. But I don't know if there's been anything in the news. Chat, you know my tendency to be a hater, right? There's a few things I enjoy being a hater on. Does anybody remember what some of those things are? There's like licensing deals, there's Fortnite, there's a couple things, but there's one that I feel like absolutely and completely deserves it. And it's a vehicle, a particular vehicle that I don't think anybody in this chat actually likes. A quick question. Do you mean the last card in the pack, right? The one that has like a code and like a QR code and stuff. It's usually for the digital game, Cybertruck. Correct. Since our last stream, Cybertruck has had 2 major issues. Do y'all want to know what these issues are? Number 1, Christmas Day. They released a new patch update for the Cybertruck software, and guess what it did? It bricked Cybertrucks. It completely disabled Cybertrucks. Just dead. Just, oh, okay, there's an update. I guess I'll update. Clicks the update. Why won't my car start? What the elongated muskrat do? It gets even worse from there, though. Not only does the update brick trucks, but people have also found out that apparently a lot of the wheels, the custom wheels that are on Cybertrucks, are made out of cast aluminum. Which, if anybody knows anything about aluminum is incredibly light. Hi, Faye. Aluminum is incredibly light and can sometimes hold up to good pressures. But a Cybertruck weighs 7,000 pounds. which already puts the cast aluminum under strain. People found out these tires were made out of cast aluminum because people bumped curbs. A certain person bumped a curb, and then other people started testing their tires. Guy bumped a curb, and his entire wheel shattered off of the wheel well. And I don't mean like the entire tire or the entire wheel came off. I mean like the center part that that's typically like screwed onto the wheel well was still there, and everything around it snapped off. I can see if I can find a picture. Let me see real quick. I put cyberpunk because I'm so used to typing that as opposed to cybertruck. Wheel broken. Images. Oh, that's a video. I don't want the video. I want just a picture of it. Actually, hold on. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see it here. We'll do this. Let me swing on over here. I hit the wrong button. No, I hit the right button. Never mind. I'm done. Okay. So here's the picture that I've seen of this. You can see in the center, this wheel well is still attached. That white part that you see is the exposed aluminum. And you can, this is only one of the wheels. You can see the rest of the spokes are just all like shattered off. And then there's this picture, which is just the wheel well, still screwed in. And the entire thing has come off, which there was a picture here. There was a picture here. Here it is. It's this thing on the left. The tire on the left in this picture is missing its entire wheel well. They didn't even reinforce that shit. Yep. Like the company that took affiliate money, they made another blocker called Pi. Wait, really? There's no way. There's no way. Hold on. Pi? There's no way. r/ad blocker. What is this? Katu? Hi, Reddit. I'm Ryan Hudson. I was the co-founder of Honey, the automatic coupon company. We accidentally launched Honey here on Reddit exactly 12 years ago tomorrow and sold it to PayPal at the beginning of 2020. After some time off, I've started a new company called Pi with 30 of my favorite people. We build an ad blocker that allows you to opt in to see some ads and get paid for it. It's another scam. This is from 1 month ago. This is before, though, the scam became, had full light on it. No, I have a good ad blocker. I don't see Pi ads. Hi, Light. How are you doing? Hi, Marceline. Welcome in. That's a cute emote. Wait a second. That's a cute emote. I like that emote. Cannon. How could you? I have chicken. What kind of chicken? Gives me the download these games and get paid for playing. Correct. Exactly. No, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. I demand uppies. No, Gannon. No uppies. No uppies for you. None today. Not a chance. But I'm trying to check some things. I don't know exactly what we're going to do today, guys, because I originally put... Oh.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
Wow, Gannon, I can't believe you got... Check your throat. What? What did you do? What have you done? Wait, what gift did you get? I have a notification for a gift, but it doesn't say. Oh, the Forever Winter one. Oh, I did see that. Yeah. That reminds me. I have not like cashed out because those game ones are all on cash out. So I need to do that. Let me do that thingamajig. And then I will probably get Forever Winter, and I'm probably going to grab some people to play it with me because I am very stupid when it comes to Forever Winter. Do you want me to edit the thing into TikTok format? If you want to, Grins, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I can also upload it as it is. I go nap, EB Screeby. Enjoy your nap, Faye. Well, actually, it's basically bedtime there, Faye. If you just go to bed. Sleep the night. Go to bed at a reasonable hour. Don't let don't let Sai peer pressure you into staying up to her crazy bat hours. I say that as if I don't force myself to go to sleep at a reasonable hour, I will stay up till crazy bat hours too. I am no better. I am no better. Hyper. How dare you? Oh my goodness. But what I was saying is, I don't know what we're going to do today. Originally on the schedule, I think I put down, let me go double check. I'm pretty sure it was How Fish is Made, which is the prequel game to Mouthwashing. Well, like the spiritual prequel, because it's the first game that the guy who made Mouthwashing made. Where's my schedule? There's a schedule. Oh no, that's for tomorrow. Okay, never mind. That was for tomorrow. That is what I put down for tomorrow, which we may still do. We may still do that. But that means we have complete freedom on what we're going to do today. Hi, Abaddon. How are you doing? Ordain, stop screaming. Never! Also, thank you for self-care. Let me grab my water. Okay. That's it. Evil Grinson's arc starts now. Evil Grinson. Evil? Evil? Is this like Evil Ren arc? Krakatoa thighs? Is that above Thunder thighs? Is that what that is? Is that what that is? Is that what you're getting at? Is that what you're getting at? I'm comprehending. I'm trying to comprehend. But yeah, Throne is still up, and I really want the fucking the thing is, I don't think I on Throne, I have the Sony Mocappy as like the full body tracking thing, but I don't think I'm actually going to get the Sony Mocappy. I think I'm going to get something else that's actually more affordable called Nix trackers, because they are like, for the same price as the Mocappy that comes with like 6 things, I can actually get 8, and it actually functions on rotation, which is pretty fucking neat. And I dust Evil Grins? No! How could you? I'm doing great. Got done with Winter Rugby. Winter Rugby. Winter Rugby. Is it just a season, or is it different from regular rugby? Is rugby season in the winter? Is that like how, like, I think soccer was in the fall, or football is in the fall, and like baseball spring? Just hire people to watch and manually track instead. I don't make enough to hire people. I only make enough to pay people for small amounts of work here and there. I don't even have a super regular editor. Although a lot of the recent ones have been made by Sai, because Sai's too nice. And I keep sneaking money into her pockets. Even though she says she doesn't want me to pay her, I'm just take a 20 and just kind of shove it into her back pocket. I have to do it for free? One day, Sunstar, one day, if we make it big enough, I will start paying the mods. That is a promise. If someday we make it to the point where we're making, I'll say, probably like, in terms of just straight cash from Twitch, if we're making like 2,000 on the regular, I will start paying the mods. Seasons are in the fall, spring, and summer. My old coach and teammates plan winter rugby, so we have a yearly get-together. Ooh. Wingles. No, these aren't Wingles. These are Wiggles. Wingles are a Pokemon. Ordain, what you looking at? What's down there? What's up there? What you looking at, Ordain? 200 on the Steam wallet weekly for me as payment? Maybe. Weekly, weekly would that'd come out to like $800. Canon. We get to just shoot the shit, drink, and tackle each other in the snow. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a very, very British pastime. That sounds like a very British pastime. I can respect it, though. I can respect it. Looking at all the chaos is because Ganon's starting chaos. $1 per clip. I don't know about that. I would pay for like your time here. Just so that it isn't like, because y'all spend like Carrie, Sunstar, and Ganon all spend so much time here. And Sunstar puts in a lot of work, especially for the Discord and stuff. Don't pay Ganon, he will buy his own meme elves. Oh no. Playing Steam games to hire meme elves. Ganon, I don't think you realize how much like $200 in a Steam wallet weekly is. You would run out of games that you were interested in so fast. Like if you were finishing all of the games that you were buying, you would be out of things you were interested in. Yeah, weekly is what he said. Weekly, that's insane. I trust the things that make me look good. Hey, listen, you're the one who recognizes more often than not when things like aren't working properly in the Discord. Oh, dear God, grins. And I have to go to bed. It's almost the next day here. Good night, Ordained. Sleep well. Thank you for always swinging in, even though it's so fucking late. You can finish games. Are you asking me if I finish games? Keep buying Steam games until I have all the games. I've played Ghostwire Tokyo twice on stream. I've beaten Cyberpunk 3 times on stream. What else? What other games? Tons of horror games. I've beaten Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil is 6 the swamp one, the Louisiana one, or is that 7? I think that's 7. Biohazard, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I haven't played Village yet. I do have Village. I don't know if I want to play it though. Possible to finish games, get distracted by a new shiny. I mean, I finish games pretty frequently. Granted, I still haven't gone back to finish Final Fantasy 16 in my own time. And I do technically owe y'all a Star Wars Outlaw stream because I was given that game. 7 is the one in the swamp with the mold. Yeah. We must go to the castle. Oh no. Someday we will play it someday because somebody bought me that game. I have it. I have Resident Evil Village. But I have not touched it yet. We will play it someday. I know we will. I don't know exactly how long of a game it is. Does anybody know off the top of their head? Is waiting? I know, but she's also like the first boss you kill, though. She's the first boss you kill. Well, not the first. I don't think she's the first boss, but she's the first of like the like major group that you beat. Either way, Resident Evil 4 Remaster could be fine. Hold on, which ones do I have again? I have Resident Evil 1, which I'm pretty sure is the remake. Resident Evil 2 and 3, which I both know are the remakes. Resident Evil 5, we've played and finished. We played that with Astroth. I have Resident Evil 6. I have tried to play it, but it doesn't work. Hi, Das. How are you doing? Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which we've played. I have Resistance, which I think is dead. Right? Resident Evil Resistance is dead, right? I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. Is it? Does anybody know? I have Revelations 2, Resident Evil Reverse, which I don't actually remember what this one is. Oh, whoops. What is Resident Evil Reverse? Oh, wait, what the heck? What the heck? Oh? Okay, hold on. I want to see if I can read the description on this one. Very negative, mostly negative. Beloved Resident Evil characters clash in a fight to the death. Test your skills against other players in 6-person deathmatch battles. Why does it look like it has like a weird sort of almost... Oh, this looks terrible. Oh yeah, this looks terrible. And then you can turn into some of the fucking monster characters. Wait, that's insane. It seems interesting. Never mind, Resident Evil Village is 7 to 8 hours. That's what I figured. I figured it was decently long. I figured it was like almost 10 hours probably. But yeah, Resident Evil games are typically roughly like, I think even when you speedrun them, actually I'm curious. Hold on. Let me see really quick. Let's look up. Speed runs. Speedrun.com the right place? Oh yeah, this is definitely the right place. Resident Evil. I want the 2 remake. There we go. Like speedruns for this are still almost an hour. Resident Marmalade? No. No marmalade. Wait, is Resident Marmalade made out of like Resident Marmalade? It's people! Oh my goodness. It's like weird DBD. It looks like, well, it says it's deathmatch. It looks like deathmatch DBD. But in the trailer, like Leon got shot and then turned into Nemesis. New keyboard works. You got a new keyboard? And it's got easy clean keys. I'm happy. Oh no. That's, oh, what day did I do that? Was it Tuesday? I don't remember. It was either Monday. No, it was before Monday. It was definitely before Monday. I took my keyboard apart, like every key out of it and cleaned it. There was so much I wish I was joking. Who remembers Cheese? The cat? Who remembers Cheese? I found Cheese's cat hair in this keyboard. There was orange hair in the keyboard. Which is so funny. Are we talking about cheese? No. If y'all are new, when I still lived up north, my roommates had a cat named Cheese, aka Cheese's Crust. And he was a orange goofball. Hold on, I think I still have a picture somewhere. Let me see real quick. I know it's on my phone, but I want to see if I've posted it somewhere else before really quick. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it one little bit. Okay. So give me a quick second and I can actually get you a picture of the day Cheese had to move out and where he decided to hide. Let me find it. Camera. No, did I delete it? What? Oh my God, did I delete? I deleted the Cheese picture? No, I think I deleted it. No, man. Oh man, I don't have the picture anymore. Well, it's got to be somewhere out there in the wild. Well, basically, Cheese, the day that when they were trying to like move out and stuff, Cheese had essentially gone and hidden inside of my pillowcase while my pillow was in it. Like my pillow was like thrown to the side of my bed and he had tried to essentially climb into it. And I had a picture of it. And rather than like trying to hide in his owner's stuff and everything, he tried to hide in my stuff. I'm pretty sure to this day he liked me more than the people who owned him. Because he'd always come into my room. Okay. Yeah, I don't have it. I have very little like what's it called? Camera roll pictures. I have like I think it's a 7. Let me actually see here really quick. Camera. Weirdly enough, there's meme pictures that are in the camera roll, but the rest of them are dog pictures. 3 of them are Coco, and the other one is the neighbor's dog and my stepbrother's dog when he was a puppy. It's like the little like autism creature that's like thirsty, drink, boat, and he's like in a bathtub. It's just boat, but he's stuck in a bathtub. You know, as you do. I can finally do this quote. Oh, I've seen it, and it's wait. Oh God, wait. What was the context for that? I'm trying to remember. We were playing Monster Hunter, so we were probably referring to one of the monsters. Probably, question mark. I'm just gonna guess that was probably the case. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were talking about one of the monsters. Oh yeah, that's what I figured. That's exactly what I figured. But, chat, I think we need to figure out what we're gonna do today. I have a couple options. I want to play, I wish I was joking, y'all may not like this. I kind of want to play Mibble Ribble Ranked. And I can also show you like basically the shit that I've been suffering through in Mibble Ribble Ranked. Because y'all are gonna have to watch me still try to climb out of bronze because of how bad the games I've been having are. Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today. Oh no. So we could do that. We could vibe. I could find some stuff for us to watch. At some point I do want to do the catch up on Hell of a Boss. But I think I'll get a peanut gallery for that, and actually maybe we'll plan it not for tomorrow Saturday, but maybe the Saturday after. Oh wait. I think I actually have something. I think we have a collab that day. That's not calendar. No, okay. Apparently I don't. It's okay, it's the Sunday after. It's the Sunday. Marin watches Flex Air? No! I am not doing that. That is not happening. Not a chance in hell. But, in terms of games, we don't have too many options because several of the things that I want to do are... Hi, Phil. What are you up to, Phil? How was your Crimbum? Your Crimbus? Your Chrysler? Your Honda days? Wait. Wounds? Just lowercase wounds. Oh God, why did it have to be lowercase? Worked for most of it? Well, I hope it was good and you got a fat bonus. Did you get a fat bonus? Please tell me you got a fat bonus. Right? Totally, right? Definitely fat bonus. Definitely, absolutely, positively. Double overtime? Fuck yeah. Nice. Nice. Ooh. Well, damn. I was trying to find a character that I remembered, but I think I was wrong. And I can't find the art I was looking for. Gosh darn it. Hi, Grins. That emote is still so fucking funny to me because it's so chaotic. It's so chaotic. It just adds to it to me, to my mind. To my mind, the like little kind of, I bet I got sandwich. What kind of sandwich? Chat, press 1 if you want Baron to watch Flex Air. Oh my God. I already forgot what Flex Air was. Flex. Oh, that's right. It's the party thing. Duh. Okay. Mm, well, that's disturbing. Yeah, an artist I know has been drawing, what is it? Redrawing like Fear and Hunger characters. And the funny thing is he very stringently posts his own stuff like all over the internet. Like he posted himself to like Reddit, posted on 4chan, posted on like whatever like art forums and stuff he can find. So he gets to see all of the responses that come up from him posting his art. And he posts some of the responses because they're always, not always, but sometimes they're the most like unhinged shit. I'm hungry to corned beef sandwich? Corned beef sandwich. What else is on a corned beef sandwich? I don't remember what goes on a corned beef sandwich. Oh, it's just corned beef and bread? Is it on like toast or is it on buns? Because I feel like that belongs on toast. That feels like it belongs on toast. But okay. Can't find. You dare provoke the sandwich? Not the sandwich. That's actually kind of funny. I kind of like that though. But ah, damn it, where did it go? Uh there it is. Nice. Okay. Chat, do we need to run a poll on what we're gonna do? Is that what we need to do? Is that what we need to do today? Do we need to run a poll, or do I say that we just I make the executive decision and we do Marvel Rivals ranked? Have you told Chad about your little poppin' at the gym? Oh yeah, my knee popped at the gym while I was doing leg press today, and it hurt like a bitch. And then I got yelled at and told to go home. Yeah. Yeah. I got yelled at. I got yelled at and was forced to skip the majority of my workouts. Put your votes in the box? Put them in the box! Put Flex Air on it? No, we're not watching Flex Air. Marble Wibbles. Yeah, Marble Wibbles. And did you go home? Yeah, I went home. I did a core workout. I did my usual core workout and then I went home. It was kind of a disappointing workout. Cuz I did cardio beforehand. I did cardio because I usually do a cardio warm up. And then I went to go do leg press and leg press on the I think it was my second set or maybe my third set. My knee popped and it hurt like a bitch. And then by the time I made it home, it didn't really hurt anymore. But that was a total of like 25, 30 minutes, something like that. I can't have things because analytics can't have things despite analytics. A rigged system. Wait, what? Can't have things despite analytics to rigged system. Wait, I don't understand. Also, hi Ember. Are you locking out your legs? No, not at all. It was actually like while I was pushing. While I was pushing was when my knee popped. And I was leg pressing 300 pounds. So, you know, as you do. And according to Kono, you're apparently supposed to leg press like twice your body weight. So, you know, gotta do what I gotta do. Gotta lift hard. Could have just been a big release of air. It hurt. It had long as it's not been swollen. I don't think it was swollen at any point. But after that set, it hurt like really bad. Yeah, leg press is easy. Do squats. How dare you? Also, Das, thank you. Happy Crimma. Thank you for the 3-stream streak. Holy shit. But usually if my legs were gonna pop or anything, they would have done it before getting to the leg press machine. Like, they don't typically do it on the leg press machine. Even on days where, like, I go straight to it and only do, like, a slight stretch, nothing really happens. But, interesting. But sorry, chat. I found a cool artist and I wanted to just check their stuff. This is a new artist, actually, that I hadn't seen before, but apparently she's huge. Anyway, good to know for future not safe for work shenanigans. Well, mild not safe for work. Very mild in comparison. Batman 2 release delayed to 2077? Wait a second. Wait a second. No. No. Robert Eggers' potential Labyrinth remake? Why did I need to remake Labyrinth? Not suggested for work. Carnival's going mild. Listen, that just means it's skimpy, Sunstar. That just means it's skimpy, okay? Oh no, it's not like that. It's not like that, Carrie. It's not that kind of thing. Oh, I was about to say, what song is this? This song sounds so familiar. My songs know what you did in the dark. I didn't realize that was the actual name of this song. They better had David Bowie Bulge or I'm out? What? Bad. No. Oh, you're talking about Labyrinth. Is it the same Labyrinth? It is the same Labyrinth. Okay, that's what I thought. I don't think they should. Robert Eggers will reportedly write and direct a new Labyrinth movie for Sony. But there's no David Bowie in it. Oh. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I don't like it one little bit. I don't think it's going to improve in any way. But, all right, chat. Let me go ahead and close this. We've been here about 45 minutes already. I think, I forgot my pin thing was still up there. Whoops the daisies. Okay. We are going to do a poll real quick. Poll. What do Mibble Ribble, and then hang out and watch session, and then I don't think I have any other games because I kind of want today to be a post-holiday kind of chill day. But I don't know. No, we're not allowing extra votes. Yeah, I don't have any other games. And I don't think I have anything specific to watch. Question mark. Let me go check, though. Let me go double check and see if I get, like, a memory refresher. Which is... Where is it? Oh, I'm signed into the wrong thing. I'm signed into the wrong account. That's why I can't find it. Watch later. Relaxing week between the year end and holidays. Yeah, it's the what do people call it? The Oh, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. Somebody told me it's like the lunch break. No, something else. Have you been playing Pyro and Star Citizen? I have not. I don't think I've even updated to 4.0 yet. I just kind of haven't. Just kind of haven't touched it. You know, as you do. As you do. But oh right, Laser Pig's fucking video on Elon Musk. Amazing. Amazing. Hasn't become 4.0 yet. Shaking my head. We haven't even broken 2.0. Mind your business. I don't even know what 4.0 could possibly look like. Do we just go full monster? Is that what it is? Is it full monster? Is that what 4.0 is going to be? A 3D model of just full monster. Just a giant pile of golden eyes. I want a refund. A refund on what? Oh, I'm going to make sure I mark it as ranked. I see you, Jade. What's wrong? Embrace Monster Baron? Wait, that's Emot. Never mind. Kind of true. Kind of true. You are right. How's your knee, boss? My knee's fine. It stopped hurting basically like after I got home and took a shower. It was basically by the time I got home, it had stopped hurting. Got the leg up, you know? I'm sitting here cross-legged. I'm sitting here cross-legged in my chair. It's how I usually sit when I'm streaming and relaxing with you. Where were you when Baron's knee got sniped? Damn, I can't believe Ordain took a shot at me. Bisexual sitting? I don't think there's anything unusual about this seating unless you consider like sitting cross-legged in a chair unusual seating. But yes, I do sit like a bisexual. I will drape myself over chairs before sitting in them normally. Took an arrow to the knee? No, my knee just popped while I was working out and it hurt like a bitch afterwards, okay? It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I don't have anything that like pops out directly with me. What the fuck? Trying disgusting vintage Christmas recipes? Okay. I don't think I wanna touch that with a 10-foot pole. I don't think I want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Please and thank you. All right, though, guys. If we do the... Oh, that's horrifying. I've platinumed the Outlast series, and I'm not okay. Godspeed, sir. Godspeed. Do you do a Riker when you sit down? Oh, how does Riker sit again? Does he do like the leg over, I think? Let me see. Riker sitting down. He like... Yeah, he steps over the chair. That's right. That's right. He steps over the chair. Baron Platinum Run win? I wonder, hold on, what is the Outlast? Outlast Platinum Trophy. Oh god, what is this? That's gold. Where's the platinum? Pulitzer? I don't think that's it. 62 collectibles. Jesus. But this guide actually shows you where every single thing is. Insane difficulty walkthrough. Nope. Nope. Am I half gay laying down? Correct. Just glaying about as one does. Oh, I hate that. All right. I'm just going to start the poll on these two things. But all right, guys. So if we do Marvel Rivals, I have a plan to kind of fuck around with people with the voice chat on. So I think it'll be kind of funny. Because apparently somebody told me when I'm calling shots and stuff in the game, somebody told me that sometimes I sound like a fucking Siri bot. I'm trying to see if I can find I want to know what the platinum trophy is. Let me see. Vimdrick? Oh my god. Platinum. Spider Eye Lamb. Acquire all badges. Oh. Okay, so that's Outlast Trials, though. So you have to get every single badge in Outlast Trials to do platinum, but I wanted original Outlast platinum trophy. Is it just get all the collectibles? Or is it another one that's like you have to do all the achievements? That's Outlast Trials again. Weird. Y'all want to do the watch session instead? Okay. But okay, let me see what I have. We could do the thing on reality TV houses and how they're built to break people. There's of course always Max Miller's Tasting History. One of his recent, oh, this is from 3 weeks ago. I thought it was more recent than that. Japanese incarceration camp meals. If we want to talk rancid American history. Maren watches Flex Air. Let's go. I'm not watching Flex Air. That is not happening. The D&D influencer Dimension 20 would rather forget about? Huh? Weird, but okay. Wait, that's a great emote. Just the sit in the rain. Amazing. Exploring the Blair Witch mythos. Oh god, not more Illuminati videos. I don't mean videos as in, what's the word? Chat. Wait, there's the new WoW creator. They made a Pacific Rim diorama. Oh, that's sick. No, shut up. Okay. How could Maren do this? I made no promise to watch. I'm pretty sure I've seen parts of Flex there. I'm pretty sure somebody else introduced them to me. I'm pretty sure. But... Chat, do we want to do what we like? Oh god, I'm not doing Crack Miser. We're not doing Crack Miser. Also, I need to fucking start marking these Illuminati videos of people being like, Illuminati's downfall. Yeah. What's Flex Air, chat? It's like this weird mishmash of memes all thrown into like a pseudo coherent story. To the party tub. Go get in your party tub. Hold on a second. Trying to open my shaker. Because I still had leftover subs after I came back from the gym. So like, yeah, kind of. That's what it seems to be, at least. That's what it seems to be. But the only thing scarier than cosmic horror? Wait. Somebody set a YouTuber's house on fire? Chat. I have something for y'all to watch. We're not going to watch it on stream, but instead, we're going to do this instead. We also have 5 minutes till the ad break. Oh, no, that's not... I don't want raid. I want pin. And that's going to stay up there all day. Fantastic. And she just went to go take a nap, so she can't stop me. The ads are going to get me fucking Gannon. Amazing. Also, guys, it would always be greatly appreciated if you go watch more of her videos, because all she needs now is watch hours. She only needs watch hours to get sweet, sweet YouTube partner and get that sweet, sweet ad revenue. Watch a chat or I steal all your pants. Estranged parents groups. Oh no. Oh no. What the heck am I looking at? Biology of the Jersey Devil? What? Wait, I know who that is. That's... Oh, never mind. Never mind. I was like, the way the title was phrased made me think of Saturn. But... Oh, right. Yeah, not gonna watch that video. That's the one on Wraith, and it's book about the Holocaust. Remember to queue all the videos and watch it alongside carnival shows? That could work. That could always work. You can also mute the tab and it'll still count. Faye does have playlists, so you can also just start playing the playlist and let it run in the background. Abandoned Kmart. When was the last time anybody went to the Kmart? Anybody? God, I think the last time I went to... What was it? The last time I went to Kmart, I think it was like 2011. It's the true carnival experience. Yes. 2003? Thing was, like, I think I was on vacation when I went. Yeah, I'm pretty sure gotta been marinated in Mars bars. How do you marinate in Mars bars? Rin, explain. How do you marinate? How do you marinate in Mars bars? How does that make sense? The not deer is real and there are videos? What? That don't sound right. Do not ask how you marinate in Mars bars. Chocolate fountain. Yeah, but I don't think you can get what's in Mars bars to go through a chocolate fountain. Oh no, my fucking feed is the nightmare source when I get the history and biology of the Omegaverse. I'm just not interested. Please and thank you. Oh no. Wait. That's interesting history, but I don't think that's something we're going to watch on stream. The life of a male wet nurse in medieval Japan. And then the thumbnail just says boob envy. Time to commission marinated in Mars bars art. Hey, if you want to spend the money on it, that is all you. I bet if you threw the right amount of money, Keyshawn would do it too. That'd be such a weird fucking art. Why did I say that? Why did I say that? But Stellar Blade, the fake outrage, and it has a picture of Grums crying. Oh, okay, hold on. We got about 15 seconds on the ad break. Until the ad breaks, so let me make sure I get the iPad for y'all. And that'll give me a couple minutes to start fast scrolling through all of this. Wait, chat, I forget. Did we ever watch the religious theme park in Orlando? Do we want to watch Expedition Theme Park today? Okay. Yoink. Yoink. I have other arts first in the queue before that. That makes sense. Mayor approved Oh, God. All right, let me give you all the iPad, and I will be back in a few minutes. The ad break should be starting any second, technically. Or it's already started, and Twitch just isn't showing me a timer. Who knows? Shit's broken recently. We'll figure it out. Twitch sure as hell won't. Mosin, thank you for the 5 stream streak. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okie dokie. Doesn't burn anything down, right? Nothing's on fire. Nothing's been set ablaze. No cucumber, only pickle. No, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Ooh, a pickle sounds nice. Kind of wish I had a pickle. Kind of wish I had a pickle. But oh well. Oh well, no pickle. No pickle. The greatest horror game that never happened? Why do I keep getting recommended these videos about PT? Why do I keep getting fucking videos about PT? I don't care. I don't care. Exclamation mark pickle? Why do I feel like that was actually a command before at some point? Cuke? Oh my god. Not the cuke. But yeah, I literally haven't found any other video that seems I became a housewife that should be in prison. Bleach into breakfast? There's a Colton bully? I'm not surprised at all. Oh my god, I think I've poisoned my fucking like YouTube recommended. Hmm. Yeah, I'm really not finding fucking anything. But History of Disneyland's Adventure Through Inner Space. Ooh, do we want Defunctland? Chat, do we want Defunctland? I mean, we could watch the Disney's animatronic. Oh no, that's so long, and I'm already halfway through it because I was watching it in my own time. I'm sorry, the music was so loud. I'm so stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to bring the music down. Meru? Meru? Meru as in like Marunya? Marunya? The like red demon character? The artist? Defunct Lands? Let me see it because the American Idol theme park experience? What? Journey to Epcot Center, a symphonic history? Symphonic? Oh, even hovering, the preview doesn't give me much to go after. Actually, do we want to do this Disney? I think we want to do the Disney Channel theme. Because I've heard the Disney Channel theme video is actually really good. How? Who? God, words. I'm not used to it. I got too used to my phone. Oh, were you sending messages on your phone because you couldn't use your keyboard? That one's pretty experimental. Oh, gee, I wonder why, board. Could it stand for, what was it? The Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow? Could that have been what it stood for? Words am, yes. Oh, I see. I see. Words, yes. English. Being extremely difficult. I can even send messages by letter, shaking my head, Twitch. Oh my god, can you imagine? Can you imagine if for like an April Fool's prank if Twitch like announced a feature where you could mail like fan letters to Twitch and they would send them to creators? Send them to the haunted islands. They would never actually do it. It would just be like, it would obviously be like a fake April Fool's thing. Like, you know, as you were. As you were. But do we want to do the Disney theme one? I would like to stick to like maybe like an amusement park themed thing. What was the one that I opened? Oh, I didn't open one. I opened the Reality House is Built to Destroy People and the Pacific Rim diorama. But most of the ones we've watched recently, why is this called Symphonic History? Wait, oh, it's because I started late. I was like, we just had commercial break. What do you mean it's almost 5:30? It's because I started late and I'm stupid. Will Mountain survive the haunted Disney Island with the photo? That's the creepypasta, isn't it? The abandoned by Disney creepypasta. To the Baron, the go Roundington. Jesus. I'm writing in regards to your exceedingly common occurrence to marinate oneself in consumable colloquial snack known as Mars bars. Isn't the experimental video? Board, are you proud of that joke? Or is it like a video where he's like testing something? Is that what you mean? Well, I guess that makes sense because its view count is shockingly low compared to literally all of his other videos. You know what? Fuck y'all. I have 2 boxes of chocolate chalky truffles in front of me. Do not eat both of those boxes, Carrie. I swear to fucking God. Do not even eat a whole of those boxes. Carrie. You fucking glutton. Do not eat an entire box of truffles. You do not understand how many calories are in there. That's disgusting, Carrie. That's disgusting. Then don't eat the other one. Carrie's chocolate consumption. I don't care. Stop eating it. Time to hire new mods. I still don't believe Carrie weighs less than I do. I don't believe it for a goddamn second. don't care, Carrie. Save them. Savor them. Enjoy them over a long period of time. Let Slanesh guide you. No. As a mod and I have a great resume, you do have a great resume. It's almost like you already have the job. I don't know, Carrie, because I feel like you'd accidentally send me a picture of your fucking feet. Baron doesn't care. Oh my god. Okay, you tried. Chat, who wants to replace one of Mawin's head mods? Oh my god. Good, I don't want it. Wait, what's the double quotes mean? More mods for the carnival? I don't know. I think the only other person who may be on the chopping block for mod work, maybe Ordain. I'll have no one in charge. I know, Sunstar, you're currently at the top of the roster. I don't know what you're on about. You're the one who's at the top of the roster. But I'm trying to see if there's any of these Defunctland videos that I know we haven't watched, because I know we've watched like the history of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego and history of the worst SeaWorld ride. The history of Toys R Us in Times Square. What do you mean, squirt bottle? Touch my buttons, you're going in the pit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I only moderate Baron's boat redeem? True. That's a nice boat. That'd be a type command. Oh. Oh, you're talking about having the spray bottle. Phone emote. Okay, gotcha. No, the mods aren't fighting. You mad? Then her 3 head mods, then her other mods who don't show up as often, then the VIPs, and then there comes chat. Yeah, that sounds right. Dang, I was gonna make popcorn. Nah, no fighting. No fighting, unfortunately. But, I'm very tempted to do the Disney Channel theme. Or do we want to make today the catch-up stream? Or do we want to learn about how reality TV shows traumatize people? I heard 3 head mods and thought Cerberus? No, if they were Cerberus, they'd kill each other. Actually, Ganon and Carrie would kill each other, and Sunstar would look extremely uninterested the entire time. Well, we did a poll for gaming or trauma reality show. Where are you going, Minty? Where are you going? Come back here. Come back here. Come back here, bunny. Why can't the past tense of squirt be squirt? I don't think I like either uses of those words. 3 head mods just have chat fight for us. All right. Who's Team Carrie, who's Team Ganon, and who's Team Sunstar? And just to let you know, Team Sunstar, can we watch the Spiffing Baron? I don't do exploits, unfortunately. I bake food and I am monkey. Thank you, monkey. Hashtag Team Ganon. I was gonna say Team Sunstar is basically to just sit and watch them fight, eating snacks the whole time. Oh my god, the fucking blah 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 blah. I vote for the reality show. All right, we'll see how they traumatize reality stars first. We'll do that first. Let me swing right on over. Nope, that didn't work. It doesn't like it because it's not the same tab anymore. Okay. Cease the music. And then let me go ahead and grab, I need to adjust the audio so that the VOD can hear it. Please and thank you. And then we see how reality shows are absolute monsters. Oh, Jesus, that's loud.
Over 10 million people tuned in to watch footage recorded from 35 Wooddale Lane. The advertisement
Wooddale Lane?
An American Family featured only the cameraman pointed at film stock of the house.
The family was filmed as they went about their daily routine.
Over the course of 12 episodes,
Between me and
family of
Gannon, who was
five
the
that
rapid
lived in
one,
home
Gannon.
completely fell apart, and the drama of their downfall made
Gannon.
for exceptionally riveting
I
television.
did join the Sunstar scene for snacks.
What's your problem?
Yeah, I'd like to have you move out. It's just like that.
Yet none of the events of the show, the infidelity, the divorce, none of it was scripted. The Loud family was instructed to live their lives as if there was no camera present. They were
Was
to do
it-
nothing differently
was
than
it
they
not
would
scripted?
ordinarily. So, on the surface, nothing about the family or the house was changed for the show. Yet,
The Zillow
house
posting.
becomes a really critical part of the show's plot. It provides the unrealistic
Okay.
expectations that the family's trying to live up to, especially the
Yeah,
matriarch,
reality
Loud,
TV.
who's preoccupied with keeping it orderly. Its oppressiveness prompts the eldest son, Lance, to flee for New York. It also establishes certain production limitations for the show.
Was it multiple episodes or was it just the one? Hold on a second. Because this is just the one. This is way too much drama happening in a single house all at
Like
once.
the microphones that had to be located in the chandelier above the dining room table, which confined all the important conversations to happen underneath it. If someone didn't want to be filmed, like when Pat told Bill that she wanted a divorce, she just went into a room and closed the door. But if family members or anyone visiting the house were moving about, the production crew would be there to capture it. But the crew was supposed to minimize any disruptions to the natural course of the family's life. Just observe and record, like a fly on the wall. Technological
But how many
limitations at the
episodes were
time,
there?
though, it meant that
Again, how
equipment
often does this happen?
was
Why does it
scattered
always seem like
everywhere.
there's
The
so
crew
much shit
themselves
going on?
became a part of the environment of the home, like good friends to the family or even family members themselves. So the house was changed for the show. But the next question becomes then, is that what led to the family's demise? I mean, it just so happens to coincide with the filming of the show. And in a sense,
Wildlife
every
documentary,
reality
pretty
TV
much.
show is like a social, psychological
Oh
experiment.
no. I'm gonna say this is Survivor.
Today's
Survivor.
highly produced, even
I've watched so much
scripted
Survivor.
reality shows involve wild scenarios that they just can't be staged in normal, unaltered houses anymore.
Oh yeah, I'm on 4K quality. This is literally just the quality of the footage he's
Where
using.
94 cameras follow your every move.
94?
113 microphones capture your every word.
They're all
These need
shotgun
especially built
mics?
structures
Jesus.
to carry out the self-imposed limitations for setups like groups of strangers that can't leave, or living together and competing
Story
while
behind The
never
Office?
meeting, or dating without ever seeing one another.
Wait, what?
The architecture that enables these, they can be downright
What about The Office?
diabolical if you just analyze them on their face value as a place where people
Natural
might
habitat,
live.
no watcher,
So
yell
let's
at the
do-
trio for starting
let's
chaos.
Look at the domestic spaces of a few of these reality shows.
I'll deep fry the
We
most
can start
stupidest
with the
shit if you
houses
paid me
in the show
enough.
Big
Oh my
Brother.
god.
They look
Wait, that's not a barbecue.
normal-ish on
That's a
screen,
fish fry.
But their floor plans reveal
Hi, two
the
questions. How are you
careful
doing?
Engineering and manipulation and the control of the participants that live here for weeks
Uh-huh.
on end. In any other context, these could be read as
Wait. This is the coolest shit room. Hold on a second. I like this room. This isn't a Big Brother room, is it? Wait, this is cool as shit, even if I'm pretty sure those windows are like two ways. If it's edible and not illegal, I'll deep fry it. Oh, I like the hands. And they're lamps. Look, that's really cool. Although, I can't tell what's going on with this middle one between the beds. If it's... Because the light bulb on the one on the left of the bed looks like it's a light bulb literally just screwed into the palm.
torture chambers. The torture
I'ma fight you now. Hi, Zoa. What are you up to? What'd I do? Mirren Schmirren? What did I do? What's wrong? What's on fire? What happened? Who are you? What'd I do? We're learning about the horrors of reality TV. Cannibalism isn't illegal. Well, it depends. It depends on the state. I'm on board medicines. Do you feel good? Do you feel good after getting your last drain out? To the scene in Labyrinth with the groping drop? What? Yay, horrors! Hi, Samuel.
began for a group of 16 folks in August of 2023 when season 25 kicked off and they entered
What?
the house for the very first time. For the next 100 days, they lived in a specially built studio on CBS's Studio 18 lot in Studio
Yeah?
C. We follow
Not
them
the
as they
pegnog.
exit the main staging area into the public zone of their new
Hi,
accommodation.
Lade. How are you
The
doing?
kitchen and dining are on the left, with the living room over on the right. These spaces are almost completely open, with no corners. Literally, some of them are chamfered. Nor are there any areas to be able to get away from any of the other
chamfered?
contestants. This layout forces interaction, and that stokes any latent potential for conflict by denying anyone privacy. Even the angles of the walls.
I was gonna say that makes sense. Having like, this is why like also like open floor plans in an office is a bad idea. Oh, reality TV is bad. That's also why we're learning about essentially how they exploit people in this case, forcibly exploiting people for the maximum amount of entertainment. Also, what are these fucking bubbles on the wall?
kind of forces you to pick a side and then thrusts you into view of the cameras.
I was gonna say,
which we
this is
see
why
in the
open floor
second
plans
episode
kind of
when Izzy
suck.
confronts Jared awkwardly right next to the rest of the group.
Yes. Let me tell you, I don't want you going home.
The decor even reinforces this, with discordant elements being thrust together.
Oh, the weird
divided by
comic
just
book.
a lightning bolt.
Like,
This to me feels like the
it
constant
looks very
goal of
comic
the
book.
entire design, reinforcing division, encapsulation, and disruption, both physically and psychologically.
Drastic
The
changes.
destabilizing interior furnishing and design.
Oh, yes.
It continues into the bedroom, where everything is
Wait. Can you particularly say this? Like, yes, I know exactly what's wrong with this entire setup. Its feng shui is all over the place. What's wrong, Rin? What'd you do? Do I play Atomic Heart, enjoy the good gameplay while trying to push through the cringe? Do it. Do it. I've heard it's a fun game, and the world building looks really cool. All right, hold on. I'll dance with the wiggles. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Anyway. Oh, wait, I made myself dizzy. Fun game, great world building, god-awful cringe dialogue written by 2000's edgelord. Correct. The game's beautiful. I will give them that. Like, I fucking love the alternate history of Atomic Heart. I think it was on sale too, wasn't it? It was on sale during the winter sale. I don't know why, but I do see this. See, that table is boring. For more important thing that'll make you go wait, what is that? It can, when it becomes obnoxious. Wait. Oh, the cringelord dialogue. Oh yeah, cringelord dialogue is never continuously funny. It runs dry very quickly. Actual ethical committee for reality TV show and game show stuff to make sure everything is rigged and stuff properly. Correct. Yeah, it's the point that they can get away with it without it seeming like blatantly obvious torture. But as I was saying, big butt. Your big butt. What were you saying, Zoa? You have my full attention until I start whatever looking at these teacups is supposed to accomplish. Make a sexy robots want to kill you and the fridge want to fuck you. I'm a genius writer. I mean, you are technically talking about machines in what was essentially a utopia. It was technically for multiple years effectively a Soviet utopia. That's the plot. Someone go to Congress to make a new law giving free pizza to veterans. And they still wouldn't pass it. Daedric. I promise you. Associate director of a game you like was taking information on to what people were wanting that was missing from the latest update, and they noted new hair, limbs, and legs. Wait. Are you talking about Cyberpunk? Are they going to add more cosmetics in a 2.3 update after 2.2? Wait, are they going to give us... They're going to give us, like, cybernetic arms and stuff? Yes! Now give me multiplayer. I need it. They did add, they added the eye implants, like the eyes that go, like, inside, that have multiple pupils, that have, like, the multiple pupils and the multiple corneas. Those are in the game. Those came in 2.2. This is what people want to make their game even better. I think right now, though, the game is basically, this is basically just buttering the bread. You need to get Cyberpunk. Hold on. How much is Cyberpunk right now? It's probably on sale because I think the Steam Winter Sale is still going. Cyberpunk. It is currently $27, which is really good. Less than $30 for this game is a steal. It's 55% off. You can get the DLC with it for about $20 more. It's still $46, just short of $50. Cyberpunk is well worth it, though. Cyberpunk is well worth it. I'm wondering if I should use something that I have and maybe get a copy and do a giveaway, maybe? Oh yeah, the expansion pack is well worth it. I highly recommend Cyberpunk. It is, I hate to say it, I think it's the best RPG we've had in decades. I think it may currently be the best RPG ever. I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to what it is now. Does it still have bugs? Does it still have issues? Did it have a rough start? Yes, but it was still a good game. It's always been a good game. Yeah, the game basically did double in size with Phantom Liberty. Top 15? I think when I look up I think I remember looking up RPGs, and I still think to this day people say Chrono Trigger is the best RPG ever made. I think that's what I remember learning one time when I was looking for it. I'm pretty sure that was the case. But yes, to me, I think Cyberpunk 2077 is the best modern RPG. Definitely the best futuristic RPG. Metaphor is fucking fantastic too. I agree. But that's also a very different game. That's a JRPG. That's a turn-based JRPG, which is a very different beast compared to what a lot of people want in some RPGs. And does it well? Are you talking about Metaphor? I actually don't know too much about it, but I also do know a bunch of stuff in Metaphor is actually based off of like famous paintings and stuff, which I really think is cool. On the subject matter? Ooh. I was gonna say, that's like a lot of the, what is it, Atlas? Yeah, Atlas games. A lot of Atlas games do that. Pretty decent, but they are also, some of them are like a product of their time or a product of the country they come from, like looking at the Persona games and stuff. They're all exceptionally good, and Metaphor is a cut above the rest. The playthrough I started, I managed to have the Maelstrom vendor. Now I have access to the chainsaw pattern. Ooh. Hey, the very good nuanced look has more of a worldview instead of just one side or the other. That makes sense. I just don't know too much about it. I don't know anything about its story. Honestly, I do not know anything. I think the only thing I remember looking up about it when it was announced, and I was looking at the whatever the equivalent of personas are in that game that I saw, because they had that listed on the website, I think. To go through a single JRPG. Yeah. Yeah, I still haven't finished Persona. Sunstar, don't say a thing. Don't say a thing. Sunstar, no. Sunstar, no. Absolutely not. No way in hell. Cease. Desist. No. I'd say Metaphor has some good Persona mechanics, but its story is so fucking mature. It's more along the lines of SMT. That's what I was gonna say. Persona, SMT, and Metaphor are sort of in the same bag. Of course, each franchise is, what's the word? A different level of maturity and expectations. Basically, if you're starting, like, your youngest Atlas game is going to be a Persona game, and then SMT, and then, in this case now, Metaphor. Because Metaphor has one hard-hitting topics, as you said, but also a lot of, like, historical references and stuff. Things for you to, like, take in and, like, kind of gain an understanding from. You also have Pray to Play eventually. I know. I actually have it downloaded right now. But I will have to devote like a really long day to it. I think I may know which day we're going to do it. We may do it for like the 8K celebration, because we actually just hit 7.7K like yesterday. Is the Berserk of the Universe combined with Macross Delta? Oh. Wait, that's a really weird crossover. Mira, how are you doing? Welcome in. What trouble are you getting into? We're watching the traumatizing things on reality TV houses, but we got distracted because we started talking about games. Metaphor, you turned into a mini mech? Ooh. If I got that game, I would play it. I would play it in a heartbeat. I wonder what its like story length is compared to like a Persona game. Because Persona 5 Royale is 100 hours. How long is Metaphor? In hell, my computer can run Cyberpunk, which is kind of sad, but for all the wrong reasons I can't quite explain without going into problems. Ugh. I'd play it. Just finished watching Dumbledore yell at Harry for putting his name. Sorry, I just got my hair in my mouth laughing at that because I always think of that. Harry, did you put your name in the goblet? Harry, fucking Dumbledore said calmly. Because that's what it is. If I remember correctly, in the books, that's what it says. Is like Dumbledore asked calmly of Harry. And like in the movie, he's like losing his shit. It doesn't feel like it's too long on the teeth. It doesn't become repetitive, which I like in my long RPGs. That makes sense. Jesus Christ, Super. Also, hi, Super. And they had him screaming. Yep, pretty much. Electro. Also, the classic Lytton painting references for major bosses called humans. Yeah, I heard they were called humans, which is very interesting. Super Hebbo. Hebbo? Huh. There's the lore reason. Oh, I figured. Super! 28 months. Wait, what? Oh shit, I missed it. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the alert go off. 28 months, late Merry Christmas. How are you, Marin in chat? Aw. Thank you for the 28 months. Oh man, we only have 5 out of this month. Or not this month, this week. Damn. Really lacking, even with the Valorant stuff going around. Darn. That's what happens though. Everybody spends money on Christmas gifts. I did the same thing. Everything goes to Christmas gifts. Dumbledore was disappointed in Harry in the books. The movie made his vow to enhance interrogating Harry. About to waterboard him. He's gonna waterboard him by fucking teleporting water into his lungs. $400 on medication and wound care. I spent $200 on liquor gifts. My Christmas is I don't die. Thank God. Thank God. I don't want to lose a friend. Oh my God. All right, let's get back to the fucking reality TV. We're gonna jump back like a little bit so we can get like this stuff set up a little bit again.
This to me feels
I
like
forgot who we
the
were.
constant goal of the entire design, reinforcing
God, I hate that it
division,
looks like a fucking comic
encapsulation,
book.
and disruption, both physically and psychologically.
Socks
The
for
destabilizing
120
interior
people?
furnishing and
Samuel,
design,
what the
it
fuck?
continues into the bedroom, where everything is flipped upside down, which I don't think could be any more on the nose. But then there's just the fact that there's a huge disparity between the have-not and the head of household bedrooms. The have-not's room is full of insults and foul food item-shaped sleeping surfaces that are designed to wear on your mental health over time. Sleeping in the head of household room, on the other hand, is the coveted prize for each week's competition. It's a luxurious retreat where occupants are treated to privacy and comfort and absolute powers of surveillance over the other spaces of the house. What this does is it creates a huge disparity between the individuals of the show, with a select few gaining access to greater levels of comfort and information than the rest of the people. This creates imbalances in power and
What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Big Brother 20, is this like the 25th Legend 25? What? Big Brother's 25 Alliance map. So this is like the fart shake. Fart shake. F2 Beardmance. HOH? The Crossroads. The Bookends. Legend 25, I guess, like as a whole. The Deadly Sins. What is this? Big Mountain is watching. Always watching. For your entertainment, correct. That's what it always is.
levels of control
That's always what it is.
Feel that they have over their individual.
I was gonna say, Neko said it. What in the Vault Tech is this? Exactly. It is the exact same thing as some of the Vault Tech psychological programs. Especially, it's also kind of like the I think the one of the TV series where it's the triple. It's the triple vaults basically. Time we do a bit of Mibble Ribble. Enjoy your Mibble Ribble. Blue versus Gag. Oh my god, that is what it says. Toots. Fomance. America. I see America through the captions. Brown Sugar Babes. What? F3? What? But F3's there twice? There's F2? Whatever HN is? I don't understand how to read this at all. And I don't think 7 Deadly Sins even circles 7 people.
Environments.
I don't understand.
Grow paranoid, knowing that they're being watched and observed. And this is heightened by the huge swings between the absolutely
You see chat Monster Man is bigger to distract you. Distract you for what?
Like the diary
Always.
room, which are absolutely private. It's even acoustically isolated from the other spaces and separated by an airlock. It's where individuals dish their feelings about the other contestants on the show.
Wait, there's a back door to it?
Other spaces then leads to paranoia in others that might be thinking about what's happening inside. What are they saying about me? But all of this entire plan is surrounded on all sides, even in between all the spaces.
I think this feels just like everybody in here essentially gets fucking socially overwhelmed and has nowhere to escape to.
Yet you can feel it as this constant presence of this mysterious zone that you don't know anything about.
What the fuck are all those
behind
windows?
every mirror and behind every wall, where there should be another room or another space. You never know if someone's in there. So you have to assume that there always is someone there. That's almost literally the stuff of nightmares.
I hate that. Time to develop a phobia.
Absolute
time to develop the. What's that? Is it scopophobia? Is scopophobia the fear of always being watched?
Access to knowledge coupled with restricting information, that is a recipe for undermining the emotional stability of your occupants.
Sorry, I'd hate to tell you, but that was a poor positioning of your graph, considering you know that YouTube captions are almost always on the bottom.
Unstable, multivalent alliances while sowing the seeds of division.
I'm gonna write about it in the vent room. Go to the vent room, Cannon.
People together with the intention of them pairing off in matrimony. And while that sounds more benevolent, the design of their spaces for interaction is no less manipulative and emotionally destructive than Big Brother.
I've never seen the show. I've never heard of the show either.
The pods. These are small, soundproof rooms where the participants sit on these plush couches and then they talk to their potential partners through a wall. These pods are the heart of the show, the places where connections are made between people and where the show's central premise takes place, falling in love sight unseen.
I'm the king of first impressions.
You've made a lasting impression.
This is like so
sitting on the floor is
create
just
a unique environment of isolated intimacy. Each one is a self-contained unit separated from the others by thick walls. Participants can't see each other.
It also does look like each of these rooms is acoustically directed, if that makes sense. I'm looking at the panels on the side and how the ones in the back work, which is very interesting. It makes it seem like effectively, or more than likely, all sound is essentially supposed to be directed towards this visual barrier that he has marked, which is probably why they hear each other so well, even though there's probably like a 20-foot distance between them, it looks like, something like that. 10, 15 feet. Interesting.
They can only hear each other's voices. The
I'm gonna quote a movie about a radio show?
Forces them to focus entirely on the conversation, to be able to listen.
Quote a movie to probably seem extreme out of context. Moonlight. What are you gonna say?
But this isolation away from other people also heightens the emotional stakes of the encounter. The sterile, minimalist design of the pods, octagonal, with soft lighting and a simple seating arrangement, it removes any distractions. And then there it is again, no corners for somewhere to hide.
It just looks cozy.
Are pushed to confront their deepest insecurities while feeling safe, indulging in their intense emotional experiences. The blank wall that people are actually talking to, it strips away the usual social crutches of body language and facial expressions that we'd be gathering visually.
It's like these people have never been on a fucking phone call and had a hard conversation. For fuck's sake, come on. Use your white man voice, boy. The older man does a perfect 20-something white guy voice. Oh my God. We need to start a podcast. We should start a podcast. Oh my God, I hate it. Oh, I know the one you're talking about. I'm pretty sure I know the one you're talking about.
Visually. But it's also like a psychological mirror that reflects back to you your own emotions and projections. This all leads to actually having a heightened sense of connection with the other person, but it also creates space for misunderstandings and miscommunications. Participants actually fill in the gaps of this information that they're not gathering with their own assumptions and biases, which are coming from them.
What's that play?
So this reflection of themselves, it makes them fall in love with themselves a little
Oh,
bit.
is that what it's called? Is that the radio show or the podcast or whatever it is?
Expressing my feelings about you.
Oh, it's a movie.
After each
Okay.
emotionally charged session inside of the pods, participants.
Another thing he hasn't talked about though is these diaries. They all have marked diaries with their names on it. What for? Are they writing down indicators so that they can like remember the people? To the Mountain Go cast, the episode we're going to talk about and how Marin got sent back after staying indoors. How could you? Only a week.
To a shared living space where they regroup with the other people on the show. This mirrors the same intimacy paradox as Big Brother.
What?
Because as soon as they leave this cocoon of privacy, they're thrust back into a social setting that demands a completely different kind of interaction. An interaction that's more about social alignment and strategy. And here, the space is conducive to
Hold
sharing
on.
and comparing.
What's the ultimate point? Like, this doesn't feel like they're doing any sort of like competition or anything. What's the ultimate goal? Is it just a weird, dumb hostage dating game? Is that the purpose? It was sorry to bother you. It was an amazing insight. Ooh. Now on with our host Mountcast, with our host Mount today by the How to Manage the Addiction of Playing Cyberpunk 2077. I haven't played it in a long time, okay? Mind your business. And I totally don't want to play it now. Absolutely don't want to play it. I promise. You can't prove nothing. The ultimate goal for the friends we made along the way. It's also like game shows like this, where like the purpose, like this weird dating thing, it turns into a show of like just basically like reading the subreddit or what is wrong with straight people. That's pretty much what it boils down to. It's like, why y'all like this? Why y'all like this? Why do y'all do the things that you do? The base of targeted audience, it definitely is, and it's never something I've understood.
Like the ultimate rec room. It's filled with disarming distractions, activities.
The dating show would be better because then it's not these multiple day things.
Insecure, though, by creating multiple zones within the larger space. This leaves certain people out of certain activities.
Hi, Newell. How are you doing?
And also leaves their back exposed to the group. The group time might build camaraderie and opportunities.
Oh my God, that was so loud. It scared me.
It also leads to individuals that might question the legitimacy.
Talking to her mod trio, it's fine.
Is this because of something she told you or something that you heard? Like, is this factual information?
Once pairing off, though, from this closed-off world, the couple is put to the test from the reveal to finally the wedding. The reveal takes place in this comically long distance apart from one another, and the space requires traversing. This allows the cameras to capture every
smile
reaction as new information comes into focus for both the cameras and the reveal.
It's definitely not real.
The relationship into public.
It's
scrutiny.
definitely not like a real marriage.
This cocoon away from the world, and Love is Blind is like a cocoon away from the world, but then slowly introduces people back into the public life. So there's a kind of continuum here. On the other side of the continuum is Netflix's other hit reality show called The Circle, where public scrutiny is the primary ingredient.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of The Circle
all along. And unlike Love is Blind's specially
Dating a Serial Killer was amazing.
Chambers, The Circle is...
You're talking about Rodney Alcala, right? I assume you're talking about Rodney Alcala. You're talking about the dating game serial killer who had was mid spree when he appeared on the dating game. Does Marin like Metroidvanias? Not really. Why are dating shows so popular? I don't get it. I don't understand it either, Newell. But I think it's because I'm built different. I'm built wrong. Yeah, Rodney Alcala. Here, let me see. Rodney, all caps. Rodney Alcala. This dude. This dude. Born in San Antonio, Texas. Everyone's built wrong in some way. True. I'm exceptionally wrong, though. Meronvania games we need. I'd play it then. I'd play it then. Need to give you the gift that is a good Metroidvania. What would that be? They sure, look at these two date. They sure are dating a lot. Woohoo! Where's the fun? But yeah. This is our boy. This is our boy. Sentenced to death in California for 5 murders committed between 1977 and 1979. His favorite song was also Alice's Restaurant. Alcala, often referred to as the dating game killer, as he appeared on the television show The Dating Game in 1978 during the midst of his murder spree. Built right for the wrong audience? Correct. Go to bed and lurk night. Good night, super. Sleep well. Have a wonderful night. I've heard of him. A lot of people, yeah. I mean, he's kind of a well-known one. The funny thing, too, is he won at the dating game show, but the person that was supposed to go on a date with him thought he was so weird and awkward that she didn't go on the date with him. She just didn't go. But that's pretty much it. We'll go back to this. Back to this.
Filmed in an actual apartment building. 12 contestants each have
they
their
built
own
a whole apartment building for a fucking game show? I hate
While
that.
they're decorated based on the individual personalities of the inhabitants, those apartment layouts, they're...
Wait. Oh God, what was that? What was the... Was it Meat Canyon that made this joke where it was like one of those like makeover joke things where it's like a person says they like horses. So we turned their entire room into horses and sports trophies and stuff. And then like I think at the end they make the bit is like, and then we have paid for a surgery to turn you into a horse. Into a stable. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. And it's the same thing as the Metroidvania per se, but legitimately every single part of the DS Castlevania trilogy on Steam now is legitimate great trio.
Those apartment layouts, they're all identical. All that's possible because the circle doesn't rely on a diabolical floor plan to be able to coax drama.
Yeah, it's just an apartment.
Instead, they have technology that does that for them. In
fact,
it's the advanced technology of small, remotely controlled cameras that we have today that makes it even possible.
Also, the fucking... the brand covering here is fucking hilarious. That's a bag of Doritos. That is blatantly a bag of Doritos that they have slapped like a circle logo on. Oh no, this man, look at this dude. This man's gay as fuck. Look at him. Pursed lips, ear piercing, fucking threaded eyebrows, perfect fucking fade. The baby socks. I'm not sure what's in his left hand. I don't know if they're coasters or I don't know what he's holding. In a circus with big booty clowns and carnival food, deep fried as fuck. Let's go.
For the show to take place in this unmodified.
But also, this is what I look like when I'm having a movie night alone. Drink in one hand, a whole bag of Doritos, and then what would be in the other hand would probably be like a pint of ice cream or something.
Apartment. Contestants, they all live alone in these apartments, and just like the other shows, they're not allowed to leave. Their physical isolation, though, is mirrored by complete immersion
supplies and
into
stuff?
a social media platform that's built especially for the show.
I've been added to the chat.
It's how contestants interact with one another. It's where they devise strategies and manipulate each other. This, of course, is fully public and exposed. So deciphering veiled innuendos is scrutinized to death.
What? Why does this, again, just feel like people looking for conflicts in nothing? Order of Ecclesia, your motherfucking battle nun? Oh no!
by fellow competitors and millions
This
watching.
is, yeah, this is group chat tea as the show. That's exactly what it is.
People who drink espresso martinis are like middle-aged women. Those are.
I swear though, I feel like they text them or something, or like producers message them and they're like, I need you to say something that's like intentionally controversial. Like it's like, what could we talk about here today? And somebody's just like, all right, you're going to be the one to say something that's like mean or like targeting about like what people like. So then you'll start fighting. You'll have like this little beef back and forth. It's like one-sided beef because you can't talk directly to each other. It's going to be good for ratings. It's going to be good for ratings, Shannon. Do you understand? Do you understand, Shannon? Should know it's seriously the best goddamn character. Wait, what?
Are actually good. I have had those.
So like Big Brother,
Oh,
and
almost
Love is
certainly.
Blind, there's a huge rift between spaces of deep.
Wait, so the chats are only open for a certain amount of time or until like each person posts one? Because that little animation at the
like
end.
Big Brother and
So like it closes. This is also definitely like a fake, what's the word? This is definitely like a fake interface. There's definitely just like an intern somewhere who's like, they've created like a widget, essentially a visual widget that lets people just type it in for them as they listen to the playback. Because I can guarantee you this TV or like anything isn't just like voice recognition. During the beginning of the game, tries to steal Dracula by splitting his soul. Oh, where's our carnival chat? Do you want to see it? Want to see it? I mean, you can say something and you can see what chat's going to look like in the future. It's just kind of, it's hanging here menacingly. Yeah, just, hanging here. Up to nothing. It just hides away in the background. Y'all are ridiculous. Y'all are ridiculous. For playing weird shit. I'm not going to blame you for the games that you play. I went to the wrong one. I went to the wrong one. Okay. Left in the void for all time. I'm sorry. That's just a base screen. It is not even set up for anything right now.
Love is Blind. There's a huge rift between spaces of deep privacy and isolation.
Okay.
It's violently juxtaposed with spaces of unfettered
And your actions speed the
exposure
resurrection up by
out in the
30 years? What?
Although the cameras in the circle, they're barely noticeable. You can live your life without a care. And the social media aspect?
They're barely noticeable, you say, as they are like the size of a fucking backpack on every angle of this house.
It's not really that different from what everyone just does.
I bet you'd probably also hear them when they move. So like if they're doing a scene where like in the middle of the night, they're going to be like, okay, let's check and see what some people are doing in the middle of the night. And you're asleep. I hear that camera just go, zzz. I'm awake. I'm instantly awake. And I'm going to say some shit that I'm going to regret. I'm going to say some shit I'm going to regret. Like, you better not be fucking watching me. I'm trying to sleep in here. Turn that shit off. Let me play my claymation games. Oh, I think you were telling me about that. I'm taking a shit.
Already. I think this makes it just that much more tragic in its premise. Even though it's taken to
also, though, that lady wearing the weird knotted sweater.
Reality that we live in today. Big Brother creates its
very
own
unusual
world and boosts people from it. Love is Blind slowly releases back everyone into it. And the circle, it's not really isolated at all. Netflix did put a giant neon circle on the outside of the building that it's filmed in, branding it for exterior cameras.
I was gonna say, it's on the outside of the building, so now everybody knows which apartment it is, and there's probably people that show up and like yell at the people.
Shots and anybody that just happens to be nearby. But I noticed that in larger context establishing shots, they draw from areas around me here in Chicago and a bit from Milwaukee. But the original building, it's been in England ever since the show began.
Oh,
it only moved to Atlanta, Georgia for the last couple of seasons. Either way, there's this strange lack of specificity. That means it's like everywhere.
Wait.
Nowhere at the same time.
Chicago, Milwaukee, while it's actually in England, and then they moved it to Atlanta? That's ridiculous. That's fucking stupid.
In a space that
all right, we got 5 minutes until the ad break.
Physically isolated while emotionally exposed.
Really, Gannon? Barbecue. There I was. Barbecue sauce on my titties and not a napkin in sight.
in a
Black
building that
Mirror
features
episodes,
zero
it's
sense of place
kind
or
of.
local connection. That all sounds like a nightmare that is way too close to reality. When an American
You're gonna
family
get
first
the
aired in
ads, and
1973,
you're gonna like
documentaries
it.
at the
Also,
time
don't
that
forget,
were
guys.
popular were mostly focused
Brain
on
fart.
large
Subs are
world
currently
events and
on sale, so now's a really good time if you want to get, say, like the
but that
6-month
contrasted
sub.
with scripted television at the
Oh,
time,
hold on, I
which
gotta sneeze
shifted
again.
inward to the home and focused on things like family dynamics. The top two in the ratings were All in the Family and The Wall. These kinds of shows
And Cyberpunk is
connected
back on
with
my
the
PC. Let's
anxiety that
go.
Americans were feeling at the time, with the kinds of changes
That
that
is
they
a
were
big
feeling
wiener
in their
dog.
home life. Even today, 50 years after that reality TV show experiment, the collision of those genres, documentaries focused on suburban families, it still resonates with audiences around the globe. We're watching these non-actors
Plus
in their
Valorant. Oh yeah, that's
homes.
correct. Hold on a second. So if you guys gift 5 subs, it's basically like how during the September, you have a gamba chance of essentially the Valorant account gifting 1 or more subs. I'm trying to remember. I think Finn said at one point during this time she gifted, I forget. I think it was 5 subs, and it ended up gifting like 25 or something. It was a huge. She got like a huge number of like bonus ones when she gifted to somebody. But I haven't had the chance because we only streamed like the first day it started back on Monday. Okay, it was 25 on top. Okay, thank you, Eandre. I was like, I feel like I'm over exaggerating it, but I swear that's what she said. I went reverse uppies. All right, I'll stomp on you.
Having intense
One big
encounters
stomp that
between
you're not
each
going to
other,
recover from.
while we too were sitting in our homes. In this scenario, the TV screen, it's kind of like a mirror.
She saw
It's not
100
so
subs
much-
gifted from Valorant. That's fucking intense. But we only have 6 this month. But that's not month. Why do I keep saying month? It's week. This week. It's 6 this week. But that's because this is only our second stream of the week. All right, I'll stomp on you.
Portal into some unrelated fictional.
Yeah,
fantasy
take money from
world.
Valorant.
It is
Don't
no
let
coincidence, though,
Valorant
that
keep their
cameras in
money.
Big Brother, they're disguised behind
Remember though,
mirrors.
guys, Valorant is Riot, and Riot is League of Legends. So if you want to make sure League of Legends falls someday, it's time to steal their money.
Too. Of course, we all know that the level of reality
Oh
of
my God.
reality TV is totally dubious. But
And remember, the more you support the channel, the more we get cool things to play with, like new VR headset for games, and eventually. Jesus! Holy shit! Wait! Oh wait, why did that play twice? Oh, I think it played the Valorant and Andres at the same time. Oh my God, you jumped straight to level 4 hype train. Jesus, I'm gonna snooze that ad break. Okay, 6 bonus. It was weird that it like weaved them in because there's like a bunch of Eandre and there's one Valorant, Eandre, Valorant, Eandre, Valorant, Eandre, Valorant. What the fuck? Give a sub to one of Barrett's favorite mods. Ah, you didn't. I don't think Gannon got the Gamba on that one. Jay did though. Damn. Pill the Bill. Hey, TT got one. Cyberpunk God Anubis. Amazing. Next got one. Nice. Mind God. Valorant is doing it technically tax deductible. Did they straight up think about this? I don't know if it is. I don't think it is because I don't think it counts as charity work. Because it's basically, I think it's more of a business deal. Right? It's just a music company that made a mediocre game. Maybe. Wait, what wasn't a joke? Lade, what wasn't a joke? I see free targets. Open fire. Miss me /tag S. No, little German boy, don't donate a Twitch sub. Oh my God. Valorant hat donated ein Suppen. Oh my God. Yes, you didn't think, wait, you thought it was a joke? Yeah, Valorant is the one that's gifting the bonus subs instead of Twitch. It's kind of funny. But it always, I promise you guys, it always goes right towards helping. It's also a really good time because technically if y'all donate before, I think, before next Wednesday, I will see all of these bonuses for January, which means I can finish up all of the extra asset purchases for 2.0. But I think that's it. Anyway, let's see what the rest of this
Fargo's
is.
insistence that it's based on true events.
This is a
or
true
the
story.
willful
My
suspension
ass.
of reality that we have
My
in things
ass.
like professional wrestling. I think reality TV is immersive in a unique way like those. In the home.
Oh my
important
goodness.
piece
I
of
need to
that
do some more
equation.
stuff for y'all in
The houses
2.0
of
for what we
reality
can do
TV
with
lay out some of the
a
most
hype train.
nightmarish spaces imaginable. While others
What
on the
the
surface
fuck
seem
is
like
that? Hold
blissful,
on.
aspirational rewards of the suburban is imaginable.
What the Oh, I hate it. I get it. I get it. This is like the upside down room. So like the dressers are built upside down. You can see them on the left. And then this is supposed to be like a huge queen bed that's been rotated to be on the wall. So there's these fake beds on the wall, and then there's the real beds on the floor. But the big bed frame still had to look like it was the bed frame. And you can even see one of the fucking like pillars has been cut through so that the camera fits. It's the fucking Escher room. Why would you do this? This is the thing that was supposed to cause like mental distress in people at the Big Brother house.
While others on the surface seem like blissful, aspirational rewards of the suburban dream. And sometimes they're both
Is it?
at the same time.
Is it?
Clearly, the architecture and design of reality TV shows aren't just backdrops. They're powerful tools for shaping.
I mean, they're
behavior
interesting,
overall,
they're unique, and they're well
influencing
decorated,
emotions,
but
and
they also
orchestrating
have
all
these
sorts of
these
interactions.
kind of
It's
gross
fascinating how
intentions.
spaces can manipulate outcomes and reveal deeper
Australia?
truths about
Oh my
human
God, the
nature.
Australian
The
room.
takeaway in this, though, I think it's that environments
Amazing.
that we inhabit daily wield the
I
exact
still
same
can't believe you
kind of
nailed it exactly at level. Oh, it's because it skipped his fucking ad read. I was like, why did it just skip straight to the end? What is his ad read? Wait, the circle sponsor? What?
the actionable way.
No. Oh, wait. Wait, is it a math thing? Oh, it is. It's a fucking learning app. That's actually kind of impressive. That's actually kind of impressive. 4 kinds of fake cities. Fake cities, you say? This reality show is a game design masterpiece. The Mole. Also, there's the honey influencer thing. I'm pretty sure I've already seen this video because I don't think this is the second part one. Oh, there goes the hype train. What the fuck is that? Hype a Delight? Is that a disco ball? With an anime face on it? What the fuck? What the fuck? I remember The Mole, it was great. Wait, The Mole was an actual show? Do we want to learn about The Mole? I don't know what The Mole is. Like I said, I don't watch... Goodness. Also, there's apparently a new salmonella, but I think this is actually like voiced over by someone else. One of them is probably a betrayer. Oh, that's what it sounded like when I figured the name was The Mole. I figured like one person and there's a betrayer, but how do they betray? It's basically imposter. It's the art of dog acting. The art of dog acting points at dog. He doesn't know he's in a movie. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. New salmonella. Salmonella. Well, I better check my chicken. Oh my God. Spy theme show where everyone was working together in spy theme challenges. The one person was a plant meant to screw up the challenge so that it couldn't. Oh. Okay, I kind of want to watch that one. I kind of want to see this.
Is an old reality show that got
Old?
remade into a new reality show by Netflix.
Ah, damn it.
The idea is that 12 strangers work together to win a bunch of money that only one of them can take home. But
Oh, wait, that feels even
one of
worse.
those players is
Ultra Sickness
secretly
makes chicken taste
the
like
mole,
deer.
whose job is to sabotage
Ah,
the and spread
I see.
chaos. So figuring out who the mole is becomes the beating heart of the entire show. It's a hidden roles game with the stakes of a spy thriller. And because
Okay, we're gonna have to hold it there because the ad break's about to start. Dear Chimpkin. Dirmpkin? Not Deerpkin. Not Deerpkin. Actually, it's chickenison. Get it right. Chickenison. Wait, are deer fowl? No, they're not. They're game. There's fowl and there's game. Get it? Capiche? Understandable? No, it's the not deer. God damn it, Zoa. All right, hold on a second, guys. We're going to have the ad break briefly. I need to run to the bathroom and clean up a cup. I need to clean up my shaker. So I'm going to give you some iPad time, and I will be back shortly. And then we will learn about this mole game show. Excuse me, pardon me. Also, Sunstar, you can run the round after this one finishes. All right. Oakley dokley. Nothing's on fire. God damn it! How could you? How could you do this to me? What did I do to deserve this? Who did that? Was it Ganon? It was Ganon. Get your ass back here. Get your ass back here. All right. Assemble? Thank you for the assemble. All right, guys. I updated the pin. Oh, wait. Where'd my pin? Did I unpin it? I think I unpinned it. Pin it again. Pin it again. Okay. Goodness. I updated the pin message because my friends are important to me. And Zoa has had a rough time over this holiday season. She has had life-saving surgery and is in need of a little bit of help for paying bills and stuff. My pin no work. My pin, your pin? What pin do you have? What pin do you have? A little bit always helps. I wheel of punishment. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. All right. Hold on. Visual wheel of punishment. Let's do this. Spin, spin, spin the wheel. Tells us how we will suffer. It cuts half off. Wait, what does? What does? Oh, you just have to extend it. Oh, fuck. Good song. I've been down before. Yeah. All right. I'll do that while we're watching the video. So I gotta do y'all fucking 50 squats. Great. Great. Wait, whose emote is that? Wheel, wheel. Oh my god. Beast and Unicorn. Interesting. I fucking love this song. This is my favorite Steve Miller Band song. Don't carry me too far away. All right. Moving on. True, but give me just a second. Yeah. All right. Work it, Baldy. I'm on. I have my hair back, fucker. I have my hair back, Ganon. Come get it. Come fucking get it. All right.
Because the stakes are so high, the mole absolutely.
Wait, how much money do they
must
win?
Be difficult to catch. If episode 1 ends and most
How difficult?
players have a pretty good idea about who is lying, then the entire show is doomed. That on its own
But
is a tough situation.
how do they
but it
convince
gets
people?
Worse. The players are
Okay, let's do
competing
this.
for a life-altering quantity of money that only one of them can win.
I was gonna say, technically though, $10,000 by itself is a life-altering amount of money, so that's not saying much.
Rules, the players will find that imbalance.
Yes, it's pretty much Among Us.
Exploit it as much as they can, but it gets
10,
worse. The production
11,
crew didn't set out to make
12,
a game; they set out
13,
to make a reality
14,
show about
15,
a game. The
16,
budget of a reality
17,
show is
18,
significantly higher
19,
than whatever money
20,
is awarded at the end. And this
21,
doesn't just raise
22,
the stakes; it also
23,
imposes a fixed game length. If the crew is spending a truckload of cash on a big finale, they need to be sure the game will continue.
Okay, there's
all
30.
the way
Oh my
to
god.
that finale. But it gets even worse. The mole's
They need to make it to the
audience
ends
isn't
or
the
what?
players, it's the viewers. And the one thing that
Oh?
every viewer wants is to play along. Try to figure out the mole's identity before the big reveal.
Oh, did they do like an
Viewers
incorporated thing with
impose
Netflix?
One final constraint. Simplicity. To play along,
I could not
they
care
have
less
to
about Squid Games
understand
too, my
the
man.
and the average
All right,
television
20 more.
viewer has a low tolerance for the part where the
31,
host
32,
explains all of
33,
the rules.
34,
The game has to be
5,
intuitive enough that it just makes sense without really thinking about it. So
39,
this reality show is
Okay, I'm not the
its
mole because I
entire
always
production
win.
budget that the mole can cause a season's worth of drama.
3,
To do so,
4,
the mole has to
5,
survive exactly 10 episodes
7,
against a cast
8,
of players who
9.
will do everything they can to break.
You have to be
the
downright
game. The game
maniacal.
itself
I like
has
that.
to remain
Are we
simple
squatting? Yeah, I had to do 50
viewers
squats
can
because of Wheel of
play
Punishment.
along at home. The game that drives this show was backed into every corner imaginable.
I was gonna say it all relied on a single person being able to fucking lie effectively. Really? Something has changed about a former pop rock artist taking a turn. Wait, what? Wait, what?
Competition shows. The first episode kicks off with
Pardon?
some introductions, and then the players divide themselves into 3.
Wait, Poppy? Poppy? Who's Poppy? It's not the fucking pizza time. So yeah, fun thing, one of the people in Beast Lawsuit game show, yeah, the lady with the severe head injury is shown in that YouTube video or episode 1, and I can't recall. I don't want to give them the view. Yeah, don't fucking watch it. Don't neglect your arms either. Let's get some push-ups in there. All right. Oh, gotcha. All right.
Teams.
I'll look at it in just a second. Let me do these 10 push-ups.
Told to trek through the wilderness in search of $5,000. There
5 grand?
Already a little bit of game design trickery going on. Money is an incentive. The
Correct.
players will want to
Correct.
do anything that's tied to
Correct.
winning cash. More money equals bigger.
I do a lot for
incentive.
$5,000. I would.
The reverse is true as well. A smaller prize will lead to players tapping out.
I'd still do a lot for $1,000, not gonna lie.
Isn't like a ton of money. I mean,
Yes,
don't
it
get me
is.
wrong, it's a ton in most contexts, but reality shows regularly give out $100,000.
Oh, okay,
at
gotcha.
the end of
Gotcha.
A pretty luxurious game. So,
Okay.
in the context of a reality show, $5,000 for several hours of walking through the woods doesn't feel like a super large prize. The incentive to win money is already being eroded. But it
Okay.
is episode 1, and in
Oh, fuck
most
yeah, I would, Impy.
contexts,
Fuck yeah, I would.
$5,000 is a lot of money.
That's good money.
So let's say that all 3 teams play hard, find their cash, and $15,000 goes into the prize pot. Then we get an establishing shot of the villa where one player must be eliminated. Remember, this
Wait, is the villa only for being eliminated?
Venn diagram between reality TV and hidden role games. Both of these genres love to make players vote each other out of the game. In reality shows, voting is an infinite well of interpersonal
Elimination
drama.
knife
In
villa.
role
They just
games,
stab. They just stab whoever they think is the mole.
the game socially instead of just mechanics.
If Rin has a Hank Hill booty, Rin does have a Hank Hill booty.
Like a complete no-brainer for the mole, right? But who would the players vote for? Who
But again,
would
I think it's the
have
pool
a
gets
vested
larger
interest
the
in
longer the game show
removing
goes
from the
on.
game as soon as possible. Obviously, they would go after the mole. But wait, the mole is the only player who has to survive all the way to the big, expensive finale. Elimination by vote would incentivize players to target the one player in the whole show who needs.
But also, I have a question. I have a curiosity question. What happens? I have a question. It's about the weird price disparity between 2 types of medicine I have to get. Oh boy, it's insurance. I bet it's insurance. Marin's ratted you. My ass is so fat. I don't know. I don't know, Rin. Adds to the plot. That's what I was thinking. But what happens if they vote out the mole? Is it all the people left standing split the pot? What's the deal? What's the shebang? Like, if I knew right from the get-go who the mole was, it'd be so much easier. Solution, more dead billionaires? That's always a solution, please and thank you.
Needs to be protected.
You'll have to believe me in that. I see. I don't know. I think the only people that I fully trust in chat right now that I know for sure have fat asses is Psycho. Psycho has an awesome ass. Why are strong painkillers from Oxycontin to the neurological, aka Xanax style nerve damage pain meds $2 to $10 and antibiotics have been $40 to $100? Because what's better for you? What's better for the company that sells those drugs? To have you addicted or to have you fixed? What gives them more money? Treatment or cure? Treatment or curing? But they have a chance to become the new mole? I don't know. They haven't mentioned anything like that yet. A lot more than people realize. Well, its antibiotics can also lead to antibiotic immune pathogens, which is frankly bad for the entire human race. But prescribe things? Yeah, the pricing does not make sense. But, well, it makes sense in a heinous, monstrous sort of way. But yeah, what would they rather do? Continuously treat you for the rest of your life or cure you when their entire incentive is profit? The doctor, out of the will of his good soul, hopes to God that he wants to cure you. But what does the insurance company want? Metroid already has 108 centimeters of circumference. Amazing.
Between these two genres, the classic
Be a part of Mountain's team? No.
because the game
I don't trust either of y'all.
It's easier to conjure
Says Ganon, who Ganon asks, would you be on your team if I shaved your head? There's another Mario Bros. Sequel coming.
Just play another round.
Disgusting.
No big deal. A reality show
Probably.
not work like
And Seth
that.
Rogen's
You
gonna play
can't
both
just
Donkey Kong
film
and
another
Luigi.
season. And the whole point is that the game is being
Or worse, Jack
captured in a
Black's gonna play
format that
Luigi.
gives the viewers a sort of omniscient point of view. They need to be aware of.
I gotcha. The triple D's. Triple D's, baby. Knock him down. And don't let him get back up.
What actually happened during the game, but also
For Danky Gang? Oh, God.
so that they can play along. That is
Okay.
a weird balance to strike. So it's with
Oxy and Xanax are two extremely different kinds of sale. Opioids versus benzodiazepines. Yep.
Best game design trick.
Well,
Quizzes.
chemically
When
speaking,
it comes time for an elimination, everybody takes
gonna go
a
join
quiz
Mango's team.
about
It's not a team game. Like, we can make alliances and stuff, but I'll probably kill Carrie afterwards. I think the world would just be a better place. The Winnie King with the triple D coconuts that used to knock people out and steal their money. Oh my God. Some people will take like half doses or sell their entire prescription. It's a big reason I need to get an actual vet. You want to know a funny thing? My dad, when he had a heart attack, he had like category 4 painkillers. He sold them for weed. This is the man that growing up constantly told me as a kid never to do drugs. And this is what he did when he had a heart attack. One-winged Kong rebirth. Gross. Anyway.
Mole's identity. Questions like, what color are the mole's eyes? What team
What?
was the mole on during the last challenge? Where was the mole on October 16th, 1962? Whoever answers
October
questions
16th,
correct
1962.
is eliminated from the show. This
Is that?
a
No. I was gonna say, that's not
fantastic
Tiananmen Square.
decision. For one, it fits the simplicity constraint perfectly.
Right?
The show doesn't need to pause.
No, I don't
and
think it is. I don't think it
explain
is.
that Getting correct answers is
Malin can't avoid me. My
Just
tactics would be too confusing for her. Your tactics wouldn't make sense and probably wouldn't work,
Quizzes
canon.
link a player's survival to the information that they can gather and the misinformation that they can see past. That
Okay.
last bit is about to become extremely important, and if you've seen the show, you'll already know why.
I'm surprised
For
he hasn't
now,
showed more
though,
scenes
one
of the
our
show and
12
instead we're just getting
players
these
gets
3D
the
models.
worst score and is thus eliminated. The survivors
Oh.
move on to the next challenge. This time they have to do an escape room. Find some keys, solve a puzzle, you know the drill. But something interesting starts to happen.
Wait, they had to be
now that
10
they know they're
episodes?
being eliminated based
They
on
eliminate a
their
person after the
knowledge
first
of the
challenge?
role and not the opinions of their fellow players. A clever trickster who is not
Think fast,
the
Chucklehead.
role starts to act like they are. They drop a key or waste time on solutions that they know won't work. Just little things that throw a wrench in the plan and draw
That's
suspicion
clever.
onto
That's something I would do.
themselves. When the challenge
That's something I would do if I was like, I'm gonna play the jester.
Once again, everyone is staring down a quiz with a frighteningly small amount of concrete.
It's actually super
information.
clever. The
But
mole
then
can't get eliminated.
one of the
True.
players
Exactly,
remembers
Hectic.
how their
Exactly.
teammate kept making inexplicable
October?
mistakes.
Is it
So
October?
they take an informed guess that they
I
caught
think
the
you're right.
mole
I think that's.
red-handed. But that guess isn't
Hi, Saria. How are you doing?
It's misinformed. By acting like the mole, the trickster has flooded one of their competitors with incorrect answers. So the fooled
Ooh.
player goes home,
Poison the
and
well.
trickster
Poison the
survives
well.
to the next round. This is a popular strategy. Remember, players will exploit the game if given the opportunity. And the game is still motivated.
I mean, when you're rewarded for exploiting, I'd call me spiffing bread. A sequel to Double Dash. I want to co-op Mario Kart. Oh my god, I haven't played Double Dash in so long.
The game is incentivizing everyone to look like a
I didn't remember how
convincing
smart it was.
mole.
It's because there was so much going on like behind the
Everyone
scenes that was just like
starts
all
lighting
mental.
tiny fires.
Because technically the viewers weren't supposed to know who the mole was, right?
The real mole now has so much room to maneuver. Even if someone catches onto their trail, and they regularly do, there's just so much misinformation flying in every direction that it's impossible to nail down
everybody's
a
a
single
trickster.
suspect.
When everybody's the
This
mole,
is what's
nobody
so
is.
great about the quizzes. The game is leveraging the fact that the players will exploit the rules to solve its mole survival
The mole with secret info? Yeah.
Okay, there are two quick sidebars worth having here. First, there are cameras in everyone's faces. That is going to affect
Are these manned cameras, or is this like how like other reality shows, reality game shows are like on the wall?
Taking a quiz about themselves, which means they aren't just resistant to elimination, they're fully immune. That's great, considering the mole has to survive the whole
Oh,
season.
okay, interesting.
But it is kind of wonky from a pure game design perspective. The mole is a member of the production team, not a player in the game. And
Okay, so that's how they do it.
That the stakes are
So there's not. Oh, that's crazy rigged. Okay, so it's a hired person that could essentially be given background details on how to manipulate the other people directly, even if he's not there. They are, unless they become completely honest. Well, no, that's the thing, is to essentially to win the quiz, to have the higher score than be the person with the lowest score, you have to have the correct answers on the quiz about the mole. So the mole always knows the correct answers, obviously. All he has to do is just always win. So there's no way for the mole to be eliminated during the quiz. Actively sabotaging has often had their solutions. That makes sense. Well, I mean, when the quiz is about yourself, you know the answers. Typically.
loses all of its punch. Yeah, them not being a real player is kind of weird.
So hold on,
Quizzes are not a perfect
Yes,
solution
Psycho, what can I do for
because
you?
A perfect solution doesn't exist. The show can't afford to risk losing its title character. So,
what's wrong?
Despite that specific
Let's go!
The quizzes are the
Let's
best
go!
solution because they also improve the rest of the show.
Anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and take this down right up here. There we go. That's perfect. Gotcha, bitch! The solutions to the challenges? Oh, gotcha. It's though thus far, it seems like the only challenge we've had. Hold on, let's go back a little bit. Thus far, though, the only challenge we've had is a single one to increase the pool. There was no elimination based off of that. Off of that challenge.
Okay, so
What you looking at, Gannon? What you looking at?
Information is flying in every direction as we go through a few more rounds of
To increase the what do you mean, what goal? Oh, Zoa needed help with bills because she's been having medical emergencies all holidays.
All of a sudden,
And somebody paid the bills.
Up on which team matters so much. Living or dying might come down to catching the real mole red-handed. But the real mole will only end up on one of these three teams. Of course, the players don't know which team the real
I'm guessing the mole also has like a fake identity so that they don't know that they're like
suspects, but ultimately
a production crew member.
The entire challenge will happen while they aren't looking. In order for any one
Just that bet and painful. Hell yeah.
Picture of what
Hell yeah.
happened during a challenge, they're going
Watch all the flex hair? No.
members of other teams.
No.
This creates a catch-22 where each player has information, needs information from other players, but also doesn't want to give up their information in case it could save them on the next quiz. It all feeds into this culture of deception and backstabbing that just feels correct. I want to win the money. The money will be mine. The group. And if you think that everyone is just lying all of the time, that's not the case. First off, a lot of times players just actually mess up. The challenges are hard, and there's a bunch of cameras in their face. Of course they're gonna fumble it sometimes.
Listen, he's just having a good time, okay?
Some players just categorically refuse to lie and always play for the money. I like to call these players breadwinners.
Breadwinners,
are
woo!
great for the show.
I don't like
because
lying.
they tend
I don't like
to
lying
be
either.
Audience favorites. They win a lot of money, they call other players out on annoying lies, and they are also
Cap.
very obviously not the mole. That's kind of a big problem. Money is the game's primary method
Yep.
of motivating players.
Get that
and
gluten?
anyone who's
Hell
trying
yeah.
Too hard to win money is effectively removing
Talk about
themselves
donating
from
time to go to the
search for
Mountain's Throne?
mole.
You're gonna what?
Yes, I'm sure
You're
that
gonna what?
the nightmare scenario of oops, all breadwinners can be avoided with careful casting. But the quizzes
Oops, all
are
breadwinners.
also helping here by encouraging another dominant strategy. There
Which
is
is?
no prize for getting the most correct answers on a quiz, just a
True.
punishment for getting the fewest. Everybody is aiming for second.
What happens
to
if multiple
last
people get the
place.
same score?
So let's say two different players are both convinced that a third is the mole. Player 1 trusts their gut and answers as many questions as possible, as if that gut is correct. Player 2
And fucking stupid,
answers
the
a
fun
lot
moment. What if the
more
mole
timidly.
plays that
They
role
accuse
true?
5 different people of being the mole, even though obviously that can't be true. Then it turns out
Wait.
they were both wrong. Player 3 was a trickster, not the mole. This is devastating news for the first player. They put their entire game on the line for an answer that turned out to be incorrect. Player 2, though, is a lot more resilient to being fooled. Sure, they'll have a block of answers that come back wrong.
They fight to the death,
but
obviously.
they still have
Obviously.
4 more chances
No, they have one of
to
those
get
weird
the
cute giant
entire
Q-tip
block
fights
correct.
where
And
they stand
at
over
the
a
end
pit of
the day,
piranhas.
all they have to do
Or sharks.
is outperform
Is this
the
shark
first
household?
player. So, generally speaking, the more a player distributes their answers across several likely suspects, the better
I don't think I
their
understand
odds
this
of
one.
surviving an elimination. Once again,
Charanas? That
this
does not
pattern
work.
is known
That
by
does
the
not
players
work.
themselves, so
Although
we
that does
see
sound like a Sci-Fi
lot
Channel
in the
movie.
show. This has some fascinating implications for the season as a whole, but for now, let's just look at what happens to breadwinners. Most breadwinners
My brain is confused.
will also distribute their suspicions. They're not dumb, they're honest. So, towards the start of the game, everything seems normal. The breadwinner has their list of suspects, and some other players might even suspect the breadwinner. But then, the season goes through...
This is math gone
episodes,
wrong, is
it
it?
becomes clear to everyone that, yeah,
just-
the person who always tries to win money and never betrays the group is probably not the mole. This is
Okay.
a slow-acting poison for the breadwinner. They're giving all their competitors one less suspect to distribute their answers across. That means that either
They give them more
everyone
likelihood
else
of finding
gets an
the
extra
right one.
chance to accuse the real mole, or when the breadwinner accuses the real mole, that block of correct answers tends to be a bit smaller than everybody else's. So the show is getting the best of both worlds.
Huh?
We still want breadwinners. The audience
It
loves
sounds like
the
an Indian
hero,
sci-fi
but we
movie. No,
can't
it sounds like the
have
Sci-Fi
everyone
Channel.
trying to be the hero.
Like Lake
Choices
Placid or
inspire
something.
the preferable selfish behavior. They nudge the odds just a little bit and trust that when
I don't know. I don't think I
comes to
understood
shove,
what he was trying to
most
make.
players will act
Was
in
it, I
their
think he was trying to
own
make a probability,
self-interest.
like a probability.
So, distributing
What's the word?
suspicion
Argument?
is good for the players. But is it
Incentivize the person to be a breadwinner.
show?
True.
Wouldn't a reality
Oh no, but wait,
show
you don't want to get.
encourage big, flashy
Oh Jesus!
accusations
Oh my
over
God!
such
Why was that so loud?
silent and lukewarm
Jesus!
strategy? But distributed suspicion is
Oh my God! Thank you for buying me a meal. Holy shit!
Scale that we don't normally see.
Thank you for
in
the
reality
foods.
TV.
Thank you for the
Everyone begins
foods.
the season by silently accusing basically as many people as they can. So long as one player doesn't think like a probability machine, everyone playing the game optimally will survive the first round. That
Okay.
isn't super dramatic, but it doesn't need
Basically, don't
to
answer.
be.
You think is the mole answered in a variation to the point where you don't get it out. If you were wrong,
So the show can subsist on
Kit Kat bundle, they're on sale for the holidays. Ooh, I've had a couple of those Japanese Kit Kats. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Until it progresses into the mid game that it needs to up the ante, which again will happen
As game shows
naturally
typically
given the
do.
premise, but a new
Sorry, I'm yawning.
effect of
Goodness.
quizzes starts to emerge as the player count
A sushi
dwindles
set?
from
You mean like one of those
9
sets like to make
eight
sushi?
to 7 to 6 That
5.
same player distributing their accusations across 5 suspects is now accusing every other player in the game. And sure, they're guaranteed a block of correct answers, but the best they're going to get is 20%. Meanwhile, anyone who's ruled out just one suspect can edge them out by 5%.
Okay.
And statistically, cutting one suspect is
Camera people telling by body language because they have to have the reality TV show. That's the thing is, they haven't shown it though. I don't know if the show was done by stationary cameras or by people carrying cameras. Because if it's done by just like all like security camera style, then it doesn't matter.
Of course, some players are going to cut the real mole. This is obviously not good for them. They have a sudden influx of incorrect answers and get eliminated.
100% chance of being wrong.
In the end game are all of the players
History Channel, one of him, Joling. Wait, Joling? Is it in River Monsters? Small Moments of Personal Channels? Yes. But I'm pretty sure that you're talking about the journal parts. The diary / like journal parts. Which I think are done to a stationary camera.
Risks paid off. The quizzes are subtly
or to a TV, I forget. I think it's done to a TV sometimes.
Quite as interesting a finale in favor of the absolute best for this specific type of show. So, in conclusion...
That's it? Wait, that's it? So he just explained how the show works. I wish he'd shown, like, parts of it, I guess. Aside from, like, way at the beginning when he showed, like, a picture of, like, the Netflix poster for it. Which is, I guess, kind of interesting. I suppose. The greatest legal casino heist in history? What? What? Casino heist? Exposing the colorblind glasses scam? Wait, are they a scam? I didn't know that. Wait, that's interesting. Wait, chat, do we want to learn about scams? Wait, we can learn about scams. Can we learn about the organ transplant game show where people fight for a kidney? Oh, you're talking about the movie. I think I know the movie you're talking about, Moonlit. Wait, what? The great donor. No, this can't be real. Wait, I've watched this before. Apparently I'm halfway through it. I have no memory of seeing this before. I don't think I want to watch that. That sounds dystopian as fuck. Dying contestants compete for organ transplant? Yeah, there it is. That's exactly the point I was going to get to. I don't think I want to consider that as a thing. Wait, what the fuck? But yeah, colorblind glasses being a scam? I didn't know that. Yeah, they are. Really? All right, I'm curious. That's what we're watching.
Scientist Don McPherson says he's developed a pair of sunglasses that can help colorblind people see normally.
It is the amazing technology that is allowing the colorblind to see what they've never been able to see before.
I was gonna say though, that makes sense though, as like so many of these videos of people getting these glasses going viral without like with only like singular perspective to support it. Maybe I'm not all that surprised.
A heartwarming story of when a little boy who was colorblind sees color for the first time.
I mean, okay, I just want to know where this is going. I want the gist of this, because
you've probably seen the viral videos on social media. Grown men, reduced to tears, trying on a pair of colorblind glasses and swearing their
You don't see the cops that the colorblind kind of had to sign the NG on that pair of glasses. Wait, what?
Has worked professionally with colors for over 6 years.
Wait, what?
So I decided to put these color corrective glasses to the test. Little did I know this would lead me down a 3-month-long investigation.
Wait, I don't see anything new. Wait a minute.
Marketing, stage reaction videos, fake product reviews.
Do they exaggerate colors?
Scientific research, dishonest influences, fraud.
Fuck off, Paul.
Turns out all those viral videos were just a colorful smokescreen for what is actually a giant scam. In this 2-part series, we're going to expose the industry responsible for misleading millions of people who suffer from an incurable medical condition.
Great donor show. Wait, the Great Donor Show's profits went to charity about the organ, but still, goddamn, yeah, it's.
On a lighter note, if you appreciate in-depth investigative content like this and want to support my channel, I've just launched a Patreon. So if you're willing or able to help,
who are you?
That would be incredible.
Where'd the robot come from? Chat.
This?
Chat, robots are taking over. Robots are taking over. It's all AI. Oh, fuck.
It's all AI.
Speaking of scams.
Video about that on my Patreon. Now, back to the video. In 2015, paint manufacturer Valspar joined forces with Enchroma, a company that creates glasses for the colorblind. Together, they launched a marketing campaign that would leave a lasting impact.
But
the concept was simple.
Glasses for the colorblind? What did they accomplish before these, like, apparently being able... Hello, Pathfinder? Pathfinder? Oh, the Pathfinder from... What is it? Who played Overwatch? Oh, I didn't know that. I've never seen Purples.
Hugging 3-minute mini documentary where a small group of
Embrace the Robo Barons? Oh no.
About their color blindness. They then captured the emotional moment as they try on Encchroma's glasses and see a whole new world of color for the very first time. That video gets posted on a dedicated website where others are invited to share their struggles with color blindness. Those with the most compelling stories would get a free pair of Enchroma glasses and can make their very own emotional video.
And is Enchroma the...
Social media was flooded with viral videos.
I guess the original?
And the media were all over it.
Apex, yeah, Apex.
Was so successful that they raked in over...
It wasn't real, it was done as a stunt to bring attention to the lack of organ donors. Ah!
Of viral marketing.
That makes sense.
All this for a pair of overpriced sunglasses that don't deliver.
I mean, I guess it had good undertones, but I guess like the general like overtones from the outside, it looked really bad.
Isn't always this black and white vision people often assume. I only found out I was colorblind when I was 21. I stumbled across one of those Ishihara color tests on YouTube, couldn't read all the numbers, and assumed it was a prank. That was until a friend of mine passed with flying colors.
That owns the Enthroned glass is a copyrighted shade of black?
But I mostly struggled with subtle or nuanced colors. For example, I wouldn't notice my skin turning red after too much sun, or a dark green car would just appear dark gray. But when it came to primary colors like rainbows or reading traffic lights, I never had an issue. So I never thought anything of it. That was until I landed a job working on TV commercials for a company called Trivago.
No, not Trivago! Hotel Trivago
became a vital part of my work. Unbeknownst to
me, Vanta Black. Vante? Vanta?
Get this. Color correcting.
Okay, the one that absorbs all available light, which I'm pretty sure there's also a black actually darker than Vanta Black now.
Very red, and I'd just be like, yeah, I was gonna fix that, but I couldn't see any issues whatsoever. I also struggled with something known as green spill, which is where green light reflects off a talent's skin when shooting them against a green screen. This is a pretty common issue in the film industry, and it's a relatively easy fix, provided you could actually see it. Now, while these issues were a struggle early on, I quickly found ways around
the people who own Enchroma. No what grins. Also, hi Jericho.
Than a life-altering disability. So you can imagine my skepticism every time I'd come across one of these viral.
I'm pretty sure I'm not colorblind.
Were having these life-changing reactions.
So I also don't know what it's like to be colorblind.
Some of these
aside from the argument me and Tia had, where Tia was saying that their bikini was red and that shit was orange. That shit was motherfucking orange, and I will stick to that to the. Hold on. Image search, my friends. Oh my god. Well, she comes up way over here on DeviantArt, apparently. Damn it. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second. I need chat's input on this now. So now I need to find Now I need to find one of Tia's pictures of the bikini outfit. Nice. Okay. Media tab, media tab, media tab. Where is it? Where is it? I need it. I want to see it. I need to prove the point because that is orange as fuck. But I have to scroll a while because I don't think Tia has used it in a while. So I gotta find like the art for it. Maybe I scrolled past it? I think I may have scrolled past it. I think I did. Yeah, I think I scrolled past it. Hold on. There's multi-pictures here. Can I find... Nope. Nope. Okay, no swimsuit in that one. All right, scroll back up. The screen is blue? What do you mean the screen is blue? Whose screen's blue? Where is it? Maybe Tia actually hasn't posted any pictures of it. Oh my god. Oh, there's the double up. Iron, thank you for I almost said renewing. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the season passes. Holy shit. Okay, hold on. Etchy TM. Oh no. Zagaball. Tech Priest. Ooh. Shrimpy. Aw. Thank you for the gifted subs. Oh, we hit the weekly. Yes. Hell yeah. It'll allow you to upload a picture and compare the colorblind version with the original. I don't know if I trust that. I don't know if I trust that. I'm still trying to find a picture of Tia's swimsuit outfit because I don't think Tia's here. Can I check? Is Tia here? No, Tia's not here. Also, Yara, if you're listening, hi. I see you. But I could have swore. God damn it. I remember seeing, like, even Tia made art themselves of the bikini outfit. Oh. Well, this is kind of it. Okay, this will do. This will do for now. So here's this piece. That shit's orange. That's orange as fuck. Just got home from California for the holidays, so I'm bigly tired, not bigly. Sites will allow you to upload pictures and compare the colorblind version with the original. I swear that's orange. I swear up and down that is orange. Have streamed themselves? Wait, streamed themselves what? Nurse moments? Nurse moments? What do you mean? Can anybody confirm this is orange? Is this orange? Computer's lagging. I named names, but I don't know the policy of mentioning other streamers. No, you don't need to tell me who it was. I'm asking, what do you mean streamed themselves doing what? You didn't finish the thought. Means Tia's colorblind? That's Tia swore up and down that it was red. Okay, I'll send it to you in DMs. Because I currently have it on both monitors. It's on the other monitor and it's on OBS on the other one. And it looks orange in both of them. Maybe towards like the top of her butt cheeks, it's a little reddish, but that's just the sun. But yeah, here, I'll send it to you in DMs real quick, Zoa. Oh, there's that poppy thing you were talking about. The fuck you mean, nuh-uh? Okay. Bottom piece has red to orange color. Yeah, I can agree with that, but I'm pretty sure that's because it's supposed to be like evening because the sun's way back here. Orange with shades of red near the butt. Yeah, but it's also like, that shit's orange. That shit's orange. All right, but give me a second. Let me see if I can find another picture. If I can find a picture of the model, that would be nice, but no. Weirdly enough, it seems like Tia hasn't. Maybe Tia did the thing where they cleared out their older stuff. Freaking love the My Therapist's Red Velvet Cookies hoodie. That shit's so good. But, well, I'm back at the top. Should I try and see if I could find... Maybe if Tia streamed recently? Hold on a second. Oh, nope, that's just a silhouette. Damn it. Let's just say there's an uncolored version of the swimsuit, but that doesn't help my point I'm trying to make. Since we're on... Where is it? Damn, I guess it really practically doesn't exist. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. What is this? Oh, tea. Raggle Fraggle. Primarily orange and rust, but he has orange colors rust red. That's what I thought. At least in that picture. I was trying to find... Okay, let me go up. Oh... We gotta snoop. We're snooping. Videos. Sorry, Willow. Videos. Broadcast. Ooh. I'm trying to see just in the thumbnails if there's any of them that Tia was wearing that outfit, but I think they got rid of it after. Yeah, with the new model. They've had the new model way too long. So it's like long gone. I'm already down at the bottom of their VODs and there's nothing there for it. Unless I have an idea. Videos, clips. All time. Well, there's a bunch of side-by-sides of all of Tia's models. Hey, there's an Akami clip. Oh, come on. Gosh darn it, Tia. Gosh darn it. Can't find shit in this house. Can't find shit in this house. I don't even remember where we had the argument on the color. I think it was on my channel. I'm pretty sure it was. Because I think we were hanging out here. Maybe I can check our DMs and see if there's a picture. Because I think at one point I took a picture and even tried putting it into, what do you call it? Clip Studio, and like tried to like color match it to figure out like hex code and shit. Did people really not clip anything? Oh my god, there's so many clips and yet I still haven't found one. I could have swore Tia used that outfit at least a decent amount. No Halloweeny fish looked when looking back at the highlight about this topic. Wait, what? Oh, wait. I found a clip of, it looks like Tia drawing it. No, I don't think that's a good example to use to try to compare colors. Oh, found one. Okay, let me see here real quick.
Can I get fishnets while you...
Well, that's Bara making a joke, so it's not really on screen. There's fucking PNGs in front of the model the whole time. God damn it! PNGs are cute, but stop putting them in front of your model. Okay, yeah, that's definitely just an anomaly. But damn it. I think I have to give up on this. I think I do have to give up on this. Yeah. I'm not finding much of anything. Although it is interesting after scrolling through so many clips and just fucking Tia's media, is seeing how much they've improved on their model making. It's really impressive. Can never fish during the day anymore? What do you mean? All right. We'll give up on that. Let's go back to see what makes this a scam. All right.
For example, there's this common theme where a colorblind person is given a color naming task.
Awesome. Thank you for
each one and tell me what color they are, okay?
Goodness.
Blue, blue,
Hmm?
brown, blue.
Only to put on the glasses and
That's purple.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was about to say they're I didn't realize they were changing the colors as he got it wrong to what he said it was.
Yes.
Change how clips work? No, they went back a decent amount. But that outfit's also not that old. Let me check something real quick.
Seeing them doesn't make any sense. And there are many examples just like this one. So that was a huge blue flag for me. And then there was also...
Okay, I got the picture. I found a picture. Ah. There we go. There's the model. It was in our DMs. That's orange. That shit's orange. Look at it. That's orange. Tia's gonna see this on the thumbnail and be so fucking confused. Orange. Right? Right, chat? That's orange. Orange through and through. I stand by this. I stand by this. Blue and orange. Because blue and orange makes much more sense as a color comparison as opposed to blue and red. Anyway, I stand by that. Excuse me.
This.
Oh, God, I didn't want to see fucking Logan Paul's nipples.
Then 3 years later, this.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So I
Oh.
bought these glasses. Bro, no change.
Oh, admittance. Admittance.
I didn't know that. Like the sky was zero. Like maybe the sky was a little like lighter shade of blue. And I had a moment in my mind. I was like, we're at the Getty Museum. I have to fake this. So I was like,
Admittance.
Who would have thought YouTube's most virtuous influencer, Logan
Ah,
Paul,
yes. Ah, yes.
would stage a
Virtuous.
video for views? Shocking. But even more concerning was that some influencers were profiting from their over-the-top
Is that-
reactions.
that's Howie
A good
Mandel,
example is
isn't
this
it?
recent video by the creators Two Hearts One Soul, a creator couple from South Korea. Step 1.
Aw, the
boyfriend
traditional
tries on the
outfits.
glasses. Step 2. Emotional reaction. Step 3. The tears start flowing. And step 4. Advertise an affiliate link.
I signed up for their affiliate program. We have a link and we have a code
Mhm.
for 10% off of them. And if you buy them, we
Financial incentive, anyone? Financial incentive? For something that doesn't work? I was gonna say, name something I've advertised that doesn't work. I can't think of anything, but I don't advertise that many things. Green Man Gaming! Go check out Green Man Gaming. I actually like Green Man Gaming. I use Green Man Gaming whenever there's sales and shit happening. I always check Green Man Gaming first. Ta-da! My segue! My segue now!
get a very like small commission percentage.
Wait a minute.
That is
So
Howie
she
Mandel?
signed
That
up for
was
the
Howie
affiliate program
Mandel.
And got a custom coupon code from Enchroma before they even knew whether or not the glasses would work.
Wait,
Seems to me
before?
that they were planning on
Before?
making money from these glasses, regardless of
Played
the
it as if it was like a fucking
outcome. Also claim
coincidence.
They're not sponsored by Enchroma.
Again, it's not sponsored, but
However,
But you're an
has been
affiliate.
using their content as advertising material on Instagram and Facebook. Now, I can tell you right now, most influencers will not allow companies to do this without some
Too bad it
form of
wasn't a
payment.
bullshit
And
stained
already
glasses.
Hashtag Enchroma.
Do they use their honey affiliate link?
Make you wonder. Now,
When Marin glasses? I have glasses.
They came out swinging in defense of their
I have
video,
glasses.
insisting they only signed up for the affiliate program after being impressed by the glasses. But I'm struggling to understand how they managed to apply.
But what
and
the
get
fuck does an
approval for this
affiliate program accomplish when you probably only need like one pair of glasses for a long ass time?
They also claim Enchroma hasn't paid them a dime besides affiliate commission, yet they conveniently dodged my questions about why
Besides affiliate commission? They haven't paid much a penny. A side affiliate commission. So you are getting paid. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. You got paid. I honestly don't know if I get paid from Green Man Gaming because I don't know if anybody's used my link yet. Question mark.
Anyway. Oops.
Worth it.
$20 steppies? Oh god.
I invited them to back up their story with proof
Give more
of some
business
dates,
that way.
you know,
Oh,
for the affiliate
it's
registry.
okay. Y'all
But
will
no,
like it more when
apparently
2.0
I was
comes
too
around.
hostile and accusatory, so they felt, why bother?
Wait, what? What?
Their story with proof of some dates, you know, for the affiliate registration. But no, apparently I was too hostile and accusatory.
How soft do you have to be to feel hostile and accusatory from an email that isn't from a lawyer? Jesus.
They felt, why bother? But despite all these concerning videos,
You already have your mind made up about us, so why even bother? Because I'm trying to learn? The only reason you would say that is because you think that whatever evidence you give me is only going to confirm the suspicions I already have. That's a guilty plea, is what that is. These glasses cannot, hold on. These glasses cannot have a prescription on them. That's like going to court and being like, well, you already think I'm guilty, so why should I defend myself? What? What? I'd use your link, but I'm broke. That's okay, doc. That's okay. I'm just saying it's always an opportunity. If you want to get games, I recommend checking Green Man Gaming. Because if outside of Steam's like sales and stuff, Green Man Gaming typically has really good prices. Like really good. It can't even help you see. Honestly, it's if you look into this, you're gonna find out I'm guilty. So why would I even try to defend myself? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But okay.
a lot of reactions out there
Let's say that makes you seem innocent
like
in some sort of reverse world.
that just didn't come across as acting. And honestly, a part of me wanted to believe at least some of them were real, because I too wanted to experience what they were experiencing.
Okay. It'd be nice to believe that some of them were real, but why would you assume, why would you think that certain ones are real and certain ones were not? How could you come to the impression of that? I don't know.
It was time to find out what the hype was all about.
It's not a sponsorship, it's just a kickback,
First,
you know?
I had to get
Not the same. I totally wasn't paid by the company except for the time I was paid by the company.
At the top of the results.
You know.
Interesting. And Chroma's test is pretty straightforward. The whole process took less than 2 minutes, and my results came back as a severe Dutan, which is a type of red-green color blindness. These are the numbers I got wrong or couldn't make out. I decided to do another online test, but this time from a company called Pilestone, who also make glasses for the colorblind. Strangely, their one pegged me as a mild Dutan. However, you should never rely on the internet for a medical diagnosis, so I booked an appointment at a professional eye clinic here in Seoul.
Wait, he lives in Seoul?
The process began with the typical Ishihara color test, much like the ones online, which quickly confirmed my general colorblindness. They then repeated the test, focusing on one eye at a time. Apparently, some people are colorblind in only one eye. Not me, though.
That's a crazy vision, though. Can you imagine what that would look like?
With D15 color test. In layman's terms, this is a color arrangement task. You're provided with a reference color to start with, and then you have to organize the remaining 14 colored chips according to their color similarity. It's like putting together a puzzle
as they shift. So it looks like it shifts from like a bluish to a reddish.
Miserably. With the test done and dusted, the doctor was ready to give me my official diagnosis. Now, I wasn't allowed to record this, unfortunately, but the doctor simply said, "You're colorblind," in Korean. But given all the additional testing they did, I had hoped for a more detailed diagnosis.
Yes,
so
you are in fact colorblind. Oh, okay, cool.
But how colorblind am I exactly? To
now
which
what?
The doctor replied,
oh, I'm still wearing glasses.
Totally colorblind, and there's no cure. Not the most informative diagnosis I was hoping for.
It's not bribery, it's just graft. Totally different.
Is, I'd actually also been professionally tested in New Zealand about 8 years ago.
Also, we have less than a minute until the ad break.
Diagnosed as being red-green colorblind. That's it. So I've been told I'm a strong Dutan, a mild Dutan, red-green colorblind, and totally colorblind. One thing I learned during this entire process
wouldn't total colorblindness be no colors?
Clear and concise diagnosis. But I figured the
Tritanopia is even weirder? Really?
Miracle glasses. So it was time
Deuteranopia
to
is fucky like that?
Now, Nkrumah claims that with their glasses, you're guaranteed to see color and thousands of hues for the first time.
Why is the C capitalized? Why is the C in color capitalized? I kind of want to know if they have like any patents or like copyrights or something in a capitalized color that basically says like, you'll see color, and like the name of the what color is basically just the shade of the glasses. This like weird reddish shade on the glasses. But really quick, all right, guys, we're about to have a commercial break. It's probably going to start in a second. So let me go ahead and get the ad break up for y'all. Get born to see more colors. I forget what it's called. Ooh, I want to see colors exclusive to Shrimp. My eyes are David Bowie. You mean heterochromia? Yeah, David Bowie. Oh my God. All right, guys, I'll be back in a little bit. Enjoy the iPad time. Stay out of trouble. Don't burn anything down, and don't let Ganon run amok. Okay, you promise? You have to promise. Anyway, have some music. Because, yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying, because it's colored, TM. Oh, Jesus. Hold on a second. I just realized why y'all are so delayed. I'm dropping frames like a motherfucker. Why am I dropping frames? Okay, hold on. I'm canceling a bunch of stuff. Well, that didn't save my stuff. Huh. Weird. All right, hold on. I'll be back in a bit. All right, guys, I don't know what's going on because we've apparently dropped nearly 12 fucking % of frames of the entire stream, which is a lot. That's like a fucking lot. Holy shit. That kind of sucks. It kind of sucks like a lot. I don't know if we want to... Because I probably have to restart like my modem and stuff. Because it's absolutely fucky. Because my bitrate is all over the goddamn place and I have a single bar. I think I may have to save this and we can come back tomorrow. Oh, I guess, geez. Oh my god, I sneezed off all my hair. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, how could you do this to me? Okay. Thinking it was me this whole time? No, it's definitely me. It's definitely me. So we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna raid Emot, you guys. Actually, let me see. What is Grim doing? Hunt Showdown? Post Xmas. Oh, they're doing Midnight Circus. All right, I want to do the Midnight Circus, guys. I'm sorry. We're gonna raid Grim. Because I also don't think I raid Grim nearly enough. Especially because he is a part of our... He's part of our Vampire the Masquerade campaign. Good news, Baron. Ganon didn't cause chaos today. Impy did. Ganon shaved me 3 times. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you ignore his wrongdoings? How dare you ignore their wrongdoings? But we're going to do the arrive emotes. We're going to do the usual, not crime brulee, but the, we're your problem now. And then we're going to do the clown. We're doing the clown emote. So if you have a sub, it's always greatly appreciated to use the clown emotes or something of the sort. If you don't have them, feel free to use any arrive emote from any of the other people you are subbed to or any clown emote you happen to have. It is totally fine either way. I believe there's also a hype clown emote, so you may have one that you don't even realize you have. But I will be back tomorrow, guys, either 4 p.m. or maybe a little bit earlier. We may start earlier since I had to cut today short. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it is absolutely shitting the bed right now. So we will be back later, but until then, have a good night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for putting up with my shenanigans after Christmas. We'll be back for more tomorrow, and we'll probably play a spooky game. Good night.